Chapter 778. Genius 1 Second. Remember love divided by go divided by little? We provide you with wonderful novels to read. Night Sorrow returned to the mansion and met with Yu Qing and the three girls. Love go little say W Chu Night Sorrow. The Battle of Night Moon's revenge will begin in 3 days. Follow me. Don't be separated. Yu Qing said. She knew that her son was strong, but she was still worried. Okay, I'll stay by your side. Night Sorrow nodded. Yu Qing was worried about him, but he was also worried about his mother's safety. Our Night Clan has already gathered on Night Moon. We'll fight in 3 days. Yuio also came to the mansion. Night Sorrow and the three girls stood up and bowed. You guys chat first. I'll go and make arrangements for the battle. It's fine if we don't fight, but if we do, we have to be decisive. Yuio came over to see his son. He still had a lot of things to do. Then we'll follow you all the way, mother, Yang Lei said. Why don't you guys wait in the city in the sky? Night Sorrow was a little worried. After all, the three girls were all below the venerable realm. Such a battle would still be dangerous. We're engaged, and we're also from Night Moon. Naturally, we can't just watch others fight and do nothing, Sikong Chiyu also said. After thinking for a while, Night Sorrow nodded. The three girls would be safe with him. If there was really a situation that they couldn't handle, Shueshi could help. Baidu search, AI go female sign shao say, www.aichuexis.com. For the next 3 days, the Taiching domain was very quiet. No one knew that the experts of the Night Moon dynasty had left the Night Moon Sea, and were ready to go. On the fixed date, Night Sorrow and Yu Qing left the mansion with Sikong Chiyu, the three girls and Tianyu. When the group approached the training grounds, they were stopped by the members of the God-slaying squad. A group of people blocked Night Sorrow's path. Captain, isn't your business our business? Fortunately, we overheard Elder Linglan's conversation. Otherwise, we wouldn't have known that you were going to abandon us and fight by yourself. Ho Jian said as he looked at Night Sorrow. Baidu search, AI go female sign shao say www.aichuexis.com. This is my family's business. I can't drag my brothers into this, Night Sorrow said. The matters of our brothers are our matters. You have always treated us as brothers and fought for us. Now that you are in trouble, you cast us aside. That's not appropriate. This time we are fighting for our brothers, Ho Jian said. Fight for our brothers. Fight for our brothers. Yong Ek Geo 7 free our fee dollar look. Little AJ says and the members of the God-slaying team knocked on their breastplates in response to Ho Jian's words. Then what are we waiting for? Let's go. Night Sorrow nodded at the group. AI go Xiao Sei Ko. After hearing Night Sorrow's words, the members of the God-slaying squad stepped aside and followed behind Night Sorrow and the others. After the group arrived at the teleportation array, they began to teleport towards the Night Moon City. Night Moon City was solemn. Warriors in black armor stood on both sides of the street. Yesterday, Yi Linghuan had officially appeared and announced the return of the Yi clan. Today, the battle for revenge would begin. Night Sorrow and Yu Qing led the group to the Night Moon City. Many people had already gathered on the Night Moon City. Yi Linghuan introduced the other two emperors to Night Sorrow. One of them was Night Sorrow's great-grandfather, Yi Shenxian. He was the previous ruler of the Night Moon dynasty. The other one was Night Sorrow's great-aunt, Yi Shenyue. She was also the only empress of the Night Moon dynasty. There were also a few other princes who had appeared on the Night Moon City. Behind the Yi clan were the Night Moon Iron Guards. Yi Linghuan had arranged for Yi Linglan and Yi Lingyuan to assemble the old subordinates of the Night Moon City. In the past, Night Sorrow hadn't noticed. Now he realized that there were over 10,000 Night Moon Iron Guards. From the Night Moon City to the Night Moon City, there were Night Moon Iron Guards on both sides of the road. Then, Yi Shenxian led the Yi clan to burn incense. Then Night Moon's emperors and princes put on the king's battle armor. Because she was a concubine and a high-level venerable, Yu Qing also put on the king's battle armor. Night Sorrow, come here. Yi Shenxian waved at Night Sorrow. Greetings, great-grandfather. Night Sorrow bowed. You are Night Moon's young master. A mid-level venerable should also have a title. However, I haven't asked for your opinion. The title will be delayed for a while. However, you are qualified to wear the king's battle armor. Ling Huan put the king's battle armor on Night Sorrow. Yi Shenxian waved his hand. Yi Ling Huan personally put the king's battle armor on Night Sorrow. Ling Huan, you make the arrangements for the following matters. Yi Shenxian walked down the stage and handed the task of presiding over the overall situation to Yi Ling Huan. Yi Shenxian was currently the most senior member of Night Moon. He was also the previous generation's leader. Thus, he presided over the ceremony. The following matters of the battle were arranged by Yi Ling Huan. Then Yi Ling Huan announced the battle plan. First, they would attack the Golden Dragon King's empire. They would directly attack the core of the Golden Dragon King's empire, the Golden Dragon City. The battle plan was similar to Night Sorrow's previous city extermination battles. After controlling the teleportation array, they would directly attack the Golden Dragon Imperial Palace. The personnel arrangement was that some venerables would lead Night Moon's Iron Guards to advance from the outer cities. The Yi clan's emperors and powerful people would directly attack the Golden Dragon City. Night Sorrow also asked for battle. He wanted to lead the god-slaying team to attack the Golden Dragon City. Yi Ling Huan thought for a moment and agreed. After all, Night Moon's young master should be present for such a big battle. In addition, Yi Ling Huan knew that Night Sorrow had a big secret. Otherwise, he would not have been able to deal with the 7-star saint. He would also be useful at the crucial moment. As Night Moon's battle flag was waved, the Night Moon Empire's revenge war began. The core members of the battle teleported to Taiching City, and then to the Golden Dragon City. The Yi clan's emperors took over the teleportation array. Then the others teleported over one after another. Normally, the teleportation array of the Imperial City could not be used for war. However, the rules of Taiching Imperial City were chaotic. The City Lord and Deputy City Lord's residents were not in charge. How could some elders control the current situation? Brother Ling Xie, guard the teleportation array. The rest of you, set off for the Golden Dragon Imperial Palace. Yi Ling Huan led his men and flew towards the Golden Dragon King Imperial Palace. Those who tried to stop him by the side of the road were directly killed by the sword Qi. In a moment, Night Moon's men arrived in front of the Golden Dragon Imperial Palace. At this time, people came out of the Golden Dragon Imperial Palace. With such a big lineup, how could the Golden Dragon King Imperial Palace not notice? Yi Ling Huan. The Golden Dragon King Imperial King Jin Yao's expression changed when he saw Yi Ling Huan. You didn't expect to see this king again, right? Yi Ling Huan looked at Jin Yao coldly. You're a saint? Jin Yao's expression was very ugly. Because the Golden Dragon King Imperial Palace did not have a saint, they could not stop Night Moon's men who were led by a saint. It's time to settle the score. You should have thought of this day when you ambushed Night Moon Imperial Palace. Kill. Yi Ling Huan moved. With a wave of his left hand, the power of laws pressed down on Jin Yao. At the same time, his right hand slashed in front of him. A spatial blade cut through the sky and slashed towards Jin Yao. Night Sorrow also moved. He raised a protective barrier and charged towards the Golden Dragon King Imperial Palace. The members of the god-slaying team followed closely behind Night Sorrow. At the same time, Night Moon's Emperor, Yi Wuyo, and Yu Qing all charged towards the Golden Dragon Imperial Palace. The hatred from the battle back then was too deep. Night Moon had lost too many family members. Chapter 779. Genius 1 Second. Remember love divided by go divided by little? We provide you with wonderful novels to read. Yu Qing had been following behind Night Sorrow. She didn't care about how many opponents she killed, but she cared about her son's safety. Love Gom Little Say Netka. Night Sorrow waved his reincarnation spear and led the god-slaying team to attack the Golden Dragon King's crowd. The cultivation of the members of the god-slaying team was a little low, but their joint combat ability was strong. Even venerables were killed. Not to mention the beginner venerables, Yun Huang, Ling Long, and Liang Yu formed a formation to resist the intermediate venerables, so the pressure was not great. The more Yu Qing watched, the more shocked she became. Not to mention the members of the god-slaying team, Night Sorrow's combat strength was too strong. Not to mention his fast speed, the strength of his attacks was also extremely domineering. Intermediate venerables were also repelled by him. After Yi Linghuan killed Jin Yao, the battle came to an end. The main reason was that the people from the Night Moon dynasty were too strong this time. They were led by a saint and an invincible venerable. The three peak venerables of the Golden Dragon King's dynasty were not enough to kill them. After the battle, someone counted the spoils. Then Yi Linghuan waved his arm, and the Night Moon dynasty's flag was placed on the top of the Golden Dragon King's palace, announcing that this was the territory of the Night Moon dynasty. After asking Night God Thunder to guard this place, Yi Linghuan sent someone to connect the teleportation array to the Golden Dragon King City and the Night Moon City. Then he arranged for everyone to gather here in 6 hours and arranged for everyone to be teleported to each city to start the battle. The tactic adopted by the Night Moon dynasty was the same as the one used by Tianji Tower to destroy the Tianfeng dynasty. It was a thunderous tactic, a tactic where the strong fought the weak. If the two sides were about the same, they would usually push forward. If they were stronger, they could use the thunderous tactic to kill the leader. Night Sorrow led the god-slaying team to destroy Dragontail City. There were no experts in Dragontail City, so Night Sorrow and the others took it down easily. Yu Qing, who was following them, did not even need to do anything. Night Sorrow gave all the resources to Yu Qing. This was the Battle of Night Moon Dynasty, so the god-slaying team naturally did not take the spoils of war. Moreover, the god-slaying team did not lack of resources. The god-slaying team did not burn the cities either because the Night Moon dynasty still had to rule over the cities. They were their own. 3 hours later, Yi Yu's troops gathered in front of the Golden Dragon Palace again. Only 2 groups suffered light injuries which did not affect the rest of the battle at all. The Night Moon dynasty's Iron Guards had already taken over the cities, but each city still lacked a leader. They did not continue fighting because the news could no longer be kept under wraps. Both the Qingming dynasty and the Red Leaf dynasty would be prepared. Since the Blitzkrieg was ineffective, the next step was a direct confrontation. The Night Moon dynasty was not afraid of a direct confrontation. On the other hand, the Night Moon dynasty was not in a hurry. First, they would take over and stabilize the Golden Dragon King dynasty's territory. Night Sorrow led the deicide squad and found a residence to rest. Yu Qing followed along. Yi Shang brewed a pot of tea, poured a cup for Yu Qing, and said with a smile, "Mother, you're following me everywhere. You child, you go crazy when you fight. Why did you go so deep into the battlefield? Group battles are different from individual battles. You have to consider how to coordinate and rescue each other," Yu Qing said as she looked at Night Sorrow. She was very worried, but she couldn't bear to scold her son. The Night Moon dynasty entered a period of rest. However, the Taiqing domain was in chaos. The former number 1 dynasty of the Taiqing domain had returned and defeated the Golden Dragon King dynasty in one battle. This announced that the situation of the Taiqing domain would change again. The Qingming dynasty sent people to contact the 7-star dynasty. However, the 7-star dynasty's upper echelons did not appear. The upper echelons of the Qingming dynasty and the Red Leaf dynasty met to discuss this matter. However, no one knew the situation of the 7-star dynasty. No matter who went to request an audience, the upper echelons were in seclusion. However, the Red Leaf dynasty calmed down. The news of the battle had attracted a saint, a 5-star saint. Night Moon dynasty, do they think the Taiqing domain is a place where they can do whatever they want? I've been in secluded meditation for hundreds of years just for this day. Let them fight first. If they don't fight, we'll fight. Inside the main hall of the Imperial Palace, an old man in an embroidered robe covered with maple leaves said. The Qingming dynasty was not too afraid. They were currently in an alliance with the Red Leaf dynasty. As long as the Night Moon dynasty attacked, the Red Leaf dynasty would definitely support them. Xiaolongjun and the others on the island in the Realm Sea also heard the news. I didn't expect the battle to progress so quickly, Xiaolongjun said with some emotion. Our people received news that a few days before this battle, a battle broke out in the 7-star dynasty. The 7-star sacred planet, Mingi, was defeated by a 4-star saint and was severely injured. This is directly related to the 7-star dynasty's current inactivity, Guo said. What's the specific situation? Lin Yuandao asked. It's a saintess who hasn't appeared before. Her black hair draped over her shoulders and she wore a veil. I've never heard of such a saint. The other key point is that the one who appeared with this saintess was the young master of the Tianji Tower, Guo said again. When did this guy get to know a saint? Xia Lanjun stood up. Wu Lingfei also fell into deep thought. She didn't understand what was going on. She had always known about Night Sorrow's situation, but now a saintess who could fight above her level had suddenly appeared. She didn't know at all. There's also a 5-star saint in the Red Leaf Dynasty who calls himself Thousand Leaves Saint, Guo said. Isn't the 7-star saint also a 5-star saint? Night Sorrow can deal with the 7-star saint, so Thousand Leaves Saint naturally won't affect Night Moon's revenge. Let's wait and see, Xia Lanjun said after thinking for a while. Elder Xia, I want to go and take a look, Wu Lingfei said after thinking for a while. She really couldn't let go of Night Sorrow. Night Sorrow was her family. Xia Lanjun nodded. If it was anyone else, she could deny or even order them, but Wu Lingfei couldn't. In addition to being the deputy lord of the Tianji Tower, Wu Lingfei was also the region lord of the Eastern Xian domain. Night Sorrow also received news about Thousand Leaves Saint. Although Night Moon had just returned, there were still spies. Just as Night Sorrow decided to take Yinxi to do something again, Wu Lingfei came. When Wu Lingfei and Yu Qing were chatting, Night Sorrow knew that this matter couldn't be hidden anymore. He communicated with Yinxi. He wanted to confess to Wu Lingfei and ask for her understanding. Although she didn't want to, Yinxi knew that with the relationship between Wu Lingfei and Night Sorrow would tell Wu Lingfei sooner or later. After chatting with Yu Qing for a while, Wu Lingfei looked at Night Sorrow. Aunt Fei, let's go out for a walk, Night Sorrow said to Wu Lingfei. Then the two left the city and went to a quiet forest outside the city. Night Sorrow took out 2 jars of wine and handed one to Wu Lingfei. Aunt Fei doesn't want to ask too much about you. I'm just a little worried. Wu Lingfei knew that Night Sorrow wanted to talk about serious matters. Look at the chapter of 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 the chapter. I know. Aunt Fei is family in my heart. If I did something wrong, would you forgive me? Night Sorrow asked after taking a sip of wine. Chapter 780. Genius 1 second. Remember love divided by go divided by little? I will provide you with interesting novels to read. Night Sorrow looked at Wu Lingfei in astonishment. He did not expect Wu Lingfei to give such an answer. Love go little say, Chu, there is no absolute right or wrong in this world. Whatever you do, Auntie Fei will support you. Not for anything else, but because I am your Auntie Fei. Wu Lingfei looked at the astonished Night Sorrow and said. Night Sorrow felt guilty. Wu Lingfei treated him like this, yet he still hid it from her. This made him feel ashamed. Following which, Night Sorrow told her everything from when he was captured by Yinxi until now. Wu Lingfei kept listening. When she heard some things between men and women, her emotions fluctuated. Following which, Night Sorrow looked at Wu Lingfei. He still wanted to know Wu Lingfei's attitude. The black-robed female sage who defeated the 7-star sage is Yinxi, who has recovered her cultivation? Wu Lingfei looked at Night Sorrow and asked. Yes, I asked her to change her attire and deal with the 7-star sage. Night Sorrow nodded. Following which, he sent Yinxi out of the time-space pagoda. Greetings, Lord Wu. Quebec. Yinxi, who had already turned her hair black and was wearing a moon-white dress, bowed to Wu Lingfei. Wu Lingfei nodded. Since things have already come to this, I do not want to say anything more. However, if you dare to trick Night Sorrow, I will not let you go even if you go to the ends of the earth. Love go little say, Chu. Yinxi nodded again. She understood that Night Sorrow was very important to Wu Lingfei. These words were not a threat. Following which, Night Sorrow kept Yinxi back into the time-space pagoda. Following which, he sealed his soul power. This is a good thing. It solves a hidden worry for you. However, you will not be able to answer to Chu Yu, Yang Lei and Aoi. Wu Lingfei thought for a moment and said, I am somewhat unable to face them. I don't even dare to face Aunt Fei. Night Sorrow nodded. The matter with Yinxi had given Night Sorrow a lot of pressure. Wu Lingfei nodded. This matter isn't your fault. Auntie Fei will explain it for you later. There are also some things that you don't have to say. Night Sorrow understood what Wu Lingfei meant. She wanted to hide a part of it from the three women, so he had to think about it. As he drank and chatted with Wu Lingfei, Night Sorrow glanced at Wu Lingfei's expression from time to time. He didn't want her to be disappointed in him. What are you looking at? You didn't do anything wrong in this matter. Wu Lingfei looked at the nervous Night Sorrow and said with a smile, I don't want Auntie Fei to be disappointed in me. Now that things have developed to this point, it is not what I want. Night Sorrow sighed. Now that things have developed to this point, it is a good result. The 9-domain world is going to be in chaos. Killing her will harm the strength of the 9-domain world, but not killing her will be a huge threat. Therefore, subduing her is the best outcome. Wu Lingfei smiled at Night Sorrow. She really didn't want Night Sorrow to feel pressured. She had watched Night Sorrow grow up. She knew what kind of temperament and character Night Sorrow had. Look at the original version of the book square root chapter O** above. Afterwards, Wu Lingfei and Night Sorrow returned to the Golden Dragon City. The Golden Dragon City was already in a state of martial law. Night Moon's men had already taken over the Golden Dragon City and started to reorganize it. Currently, Night God Thunder was the city lord of the renamed Golden Moon City. After taking a casual stroll and looking at the situation in Golden Moon City, Night Sorrow and Wu Lingfei arrived at the God-slaying team's camp. Yi Wuyo was also here. Everyone was eating barbecued meat from the wild beasts that Yin Huang had caught outside the city. Seeing Wu Lingfei, Yi Wuyo stood up and cupped his hands. Baidu search AI Go female sign Xiao say www.aichuxs.com. Father, shouldn't you be very busy right now? How come you have time to drink and eat meat? Night Sorrow asked after finding a chair for Wu Lingfei and sitting down. There's nothing to be busy about. The family won't arrange anything specific for me, Yi Wuyo said with a smile. The current ruler of the Night Moon dynasty was Yi Linghuan. The next ruler would be Yi Wuyo. Therefore, Yi Wuyo's job was to control the overall situation. There would be no specific tasks for him. Night Sorrow thought for a moment and understood this. Then, he took out a jar of green blood wine and handed it to Yi Wuyo. He gave Yu Qing and Wu Lingfei the milder 100 herbs wine. Captain, there's not enough barbecued meat. Let's go catch some wild beasts. Ho Jian stood up and said, I'll go. Tianyu stood up. Catching wild beasts was Tianyu's strength. Tianyu, I want to eat bear meat. Birds are fine too, Night Sorrow shouted at Tianyu, who had already transformed into his original form. Brother Shursan, just wait. After responding, Tianyu disappeared. This partner is really amazing, Yi Wuyo said with some emotion. Not long after I started cultivating, I met Tianyu. We fought side by side for the past few years. He is a brother that I can live and die with. Night Sorrow nodded. Tianyu's speed was not to be underestimated. In a moment, he had hunted a large gray bear and flew back. Ho Jian and the others handled it and roasted it. After chatting for a while and drinking some wine, Yi Wuyo left. Although no one gave him any specific tasks, there were some things he had to take care of. Night Sorrow also planned to leave and go to the Red Leaves dynasty. Night Moon was going to fight, so they had to first eliminate the enemy's strongest force. Only then could they minimize their losses. Aunt Fei will go with you. Seeing Night Sorrow about leaving, Yi Wuyo said. After thinking for a moment, Night Sorrow nodded, and then bowed to Yu Qing. Yu Qing cupped her hands to Wu Lingfei. Then I'll have to trouble Lord Wu Kei to take care of Night Sorrow. It's nothing. Madam Yi, don't worry. Wu Lingfei nodded. Other than when she was with Yi Shang, Wu Lingfei was more casual. She spoke more and had more expressions. She rarely interacted with others, and was very formal. Even Yu Qing, whom she got along well with, was the same. Brother Shursan, don't you want me to follow you? Tianyu looked at Night Sorrow and asked. I don't need it this time. I'll definitely bring you with me in the future. Night Sorrow patted Tianyu's shoulder and said. They were going out to fight the saint, so Tianyu followed them as a means of transportation. But now, Night Sorrow was not willing to ride Tianyu if he did not need it. After leaving the mansion, Night Sorrow thought for a moment and said, Aunt Fei, it's not very appropriate for you to appear. It will bring some bad influence to the Eastern Xian region and Tianji Tower. Aunt Fei hasn't thought about this. I just feel at ease watching you. Besides, if you want to fight, then let's fight. Aunt Fei is not afraid of anything, Wu Lingfei said. Then after teleporting to Maple City, Aunt Fei, you can hide. If I need your help, you can come and help, Night Sorrow said. How about this? I'll also enter the space-time pagoda. If you need me, you can teleport me out, Wu Lingfei said. No, that's not good. Besides, Aunt Fei can't see the situation outside. Night Sorrow shook his head. He knew that Wu Lingfei had absolute trust in him because the space-time pagoda was Night Sorrow's treasure. In the space-time pagoda, Night Sorrow was the ruler. Without absolute trust, no one would enter someone else's spatial treasure. It was equivalent to handing their lives to someone else. Chapter 781. Geniuses remember love in 1 second? We provide you with interesting novels to read. Yishan nodded and then brought Inshi out of the space-time treasure pagoda. Greetings, Mistress Wu Quebec. Inshi's attitude was very humble, because she knew that Wu Ling concubine was the person Yishang respected the most. If she didn't respect Wu Ling concubine, it would be the same as making Yishang feel disgusted and angering him. You have to be more open-minded about some things. I won't comment on your relationship with Night Sorrow, but you don't have to be humble in front of others. You don't owe anyone anything and you don't have to look at anyone's face. Wu Lingfei looked at Inshi and said, I don't have to in front of others, but Mistress Wu Kei is the person Night Sorrow respects the most. Inshi nodded. Then the three of them began to teleport through Taiching City and to Maple City. There were many experts guarding outside Maple City's teleportation formation. 2 high-level honorables led the team and a mid-level honorable. Stop. Who are you? Where are you from? I want to investigate in detail. The high-rank venerable swung his sword horizontally and blocked the path of Yishang's group. After knowing that the Golden Dragon King's empire was destroyed, Maple City entered the highest state of alert. There was even a mid-level honorable, who kept his hand on the teleportation formation's teleportation crystal. Once a large number of people teleported, the teleportation formation would be sealed immediately. Investigate? Go to hell. Inshi's left hand surged with the power of law, and she swung the flowing wind sword with her right hand. The high-level honorable wasn't prepared for battle. Inshi's sword chi pierced through his head, piercing his spirit sea and destroying his soul. Even if the high-level honorable was prepared, it was useless. The difference between an honorable and a saint was too big. He couldn't fight back. Since she had already attacked, Inshi didn't hold back. She swung the flowing wind sword and killed all the saints around the teleportation formation. The mid-level honorable who wanted to destroy the teleportation formation was suppressed by Inshi's power of law, and didn't have the chance to do so. Night Sorrow kept the storage rings and weapons. The 2 high-level venerables were using spiritual weapons. Then the 3 of them continued to fly into the city. Night Sorrow was led by Wu Lingfei. Their target was the Thousand Leaves Saint, not a supremacy. Even a peak supremacy would not affect Night Moon's revenge. What kind of speed was a saint? Moments later, the 3 of them arrived at the Maple Imperial Palace. There really are people who have come to die. Thousand Leaf Saint appeared in front of the Red Leaf Imperial Palace with a group of people. Just looking at him makes me angry. Why don't we just kill him instead of negotiating? Inshi looked at Night Sorrow. All right, I'll listen to you this time. Kill him. Night Sorrow was furious at Thousand Leaves Shung's arrogance. Shameless boasting. A 4-star saint and a 2-star saint dare to be so arrogant in my Red Leaf dynasty. I would rather have 2 saint women. Thousand Leaves Saint laughed loudly. The other upper echelons of the Red Leaf dynasty laughed as well. You'll die today. Inshi and Wu Lingfei said the same thing. At the same time, Inshi's body flashed and flew towards Thousand Leaves Shung. Flowing Wind Sword also attacked. Thousand Leaves Shung's words provoked her. She was now subdued by Night Sorrow and was Night Sorrow's woman. She was furious when others talked about this. Wu Lingfei's side was the same. Who wouldn't be arrogant to be able to cultivate to the saint realm? After Inshi attacked, Thousand Leaves Shung's expression changed. Inshi was too fast and he couldn't keep up. Wu Lingfei also attacked. She originally didn't plan to attack, but after Thousand Leaves Shung's words and the others laughed, it angered her. Let me go, Aunt Fei. I'll kill them too. Night Sorrow was also very angry. This Thousand Leaves Sheng was too shameless. The other members of the Red Leaf Dynasty were the same. They mainly insulted Wu Lingfei and Yin Shi, which Night Sorrow couldn't tolerate. After hearing Night Sorrow's words, Wu Lingfei, who was using energy to envelop Night Sorrow, let go of her protective energy shield, and let Night Sorrow kill them too. The three of them had different targets. Yin Shi suppressed Thousand Leaves Sheng, Wu Lingfei chased after the peak honorables, and Night Sorrow attacked the ordinary honorables. Night Sorrow and the other two had the upper hand in the battle, and then it was a one-sided massacre. Yin Shi's cultivation and battle strength weren't proportional, because she had the comprehension and realm of a 7-star saint. In addition, she had cultivated the wind origin body. Wu Lingfei used to be an invincible honorable, and then entered the saint realm with a high-level attribute. Her battle strength was far beyond her actual cultivation. Night Sorrow's side was needless to say. Although he was a level 4 honorable, a mid-level honorable was no match for him. After a while, the upper echelons of the Red Leaf Dynasty were almost all killed, except for some who fled when they saw the situation wasn't good. Only Thousand Leaves Sheng was left. You still dare to boast so shamelessly? If you have any ideas about us, you'll have to die. Yin Shi sped up her attack. Night Sorrow could tell that Thousand Leaves Sacred had been able to hold on until now by relying on a special movement technique. He had many illusions, which caused some of Yin Shi's attacks to miss. You guys are ruthless. I won't let today's matter rest. Thousand Leaves Sheng planned to leave when he saw that there was no hope of victory. His body shook quickly, and then many illusions rushed out in all directions. This was Thousand Leaves Sheng's 100 illusion body technique. These illusions weren't illusions, but were between the real body and the phantom body. As long as one of them escaped, he would be able to survive. This was because each of the illusions was the real body, and they all had his soul power and origin power. If one of them escaped, the others would disperse, and the energy would merge with his body, so it wouldn't affect his strength too much. It was because of this 100 illusion body technique that Thousand Leaves Sheng dared to challenge Night Moon Dynasty. Look at the G version and Chapter Y section 2e. You'll have to pay the price if you want to run. Wu Lingfei rose into the air and instantly turned into a golden king bird. To be precise, it was a golden phoenix. With a cry that resounded through the heavens, the golden phoenix opened its beak and directly absorbed all of these phantom avatars that didn't have much fighting strength into its body. I'm going to kill you all. The illusions that ran away screamed. Thousand Leaves Sheng suffered a great loss after Wu Lingfei used her innate skill. His energy, life origin, and soul power had been divided into 100 parts, and Wu Lingfei had absorbed 60 to 70% of them into her body space. This was equivalent to destroying half of his cultivation base. The 100 illusion body technique was very overbearing. It could be dissolved by itself, and the energy would return. It would only consume some of the user's energy, but it wouldn't cause much damage. However, Wu Lingfei's appearance changed the power of the 100 illusion body technique. Once it was absorbed into Wu Lingfei's body space, Thousand Leaves Sheng couldn't take it back. The golden phoenix shuttled back and forth, continuing to attack the phantoms. Yin Shi also chased after the phantoms that made the sound. However, at this moment, that illusory doppelganger dissipated, its energy dissipating and flying away. This was because a few of the illusions had run out of the three's sight. That bastard still got away. Yin Shi was very angry. Chapter 782. Genius 1 second. Remember Love Go/Little? We provide you with wonderful novels to read. Auntie Fei, are you alright? Yishang asked. No problem. It's just a clone that doesn't have much resistance. It's not a threat to Aunt Fei. The pure energy of the clone is actually helpful for Aunt Fei's cultivation. In a few days, it'll be a top-quality cultivation resource. Wu Lingfei smiled. That's good. From the looks of it, the Red Leaf Dynasty won't be able to resist Night Moon Dynasty's attack. Once the Red Leaf Dynasty is dealt with, only the Green Nether Dynasty is left. This won't pose much of a threat to Night Moon. Currently, the Night Moon Dynasty's problem isn't war but rule. Night Sorrow said. You see it very clearly. Let's clean up the battlefield first, then we'll go collect resources. This Red Leaf Palace should have some resources. Wu Lingfei said. Then Knight Sorrow began to clean up the battlefield. Wu Lingfei had killed many people, but he didn't collect any resources. Yin Shi and Wu Lingfei threw the storage rings and weapons they collected to Knight Sorrow. They didn't have much meaning to them. Translator, Endless Fantasy Translation Editor. Endless Fantasy Translation. Wu Lingfei didn't lack resources. Besides, Knight Sorrow had given her a lot of resources. She and Knight Sorrow were inseparable. There was no need to talk about Yin Shi. She was Knight Sorrow's, so there was no need to talk about resources. Red Leaf Palace's underground storage was very big. Knight Sorrow didn't hold back and directly moved all the resources into his storage ring. As for the types and prices, Knight Sorrow didn't look at them because he didn't have time. After he finished here, he could inform Night Moon Dynasty to attack. Coming out of Red Leaf Palace, the three of them returned to the teleportation array. At this time, the teleportation array was in chaos. Many Red Leaf Dynasty people were running. Yi Shang let out a loud roar before he calmed down. You guys wait here. I'll go to the Tianji Tower branch and call for people to guard this place. Otherwise, it'll be troublesome if the teleportation array is destroyed. Wu Lingfei left after saying that, rushing towards the Tianji Tower branch in Maple Imperial City. A moment later, people from Tianji Tower arrived at the teleportation array and protected it. Next, Knight Sorrow's group of 3 teleported to Extreme Clarity City. At this moment, Extreme Clarity City was in a state of chaos. Many people had teleported over from Redleaf Imperial City and had already spread the news of the Redleaf Dynasty's upper echelons being killed. Knight Sorrow looked at Yin Shi after they were some distance away from the teleportation portal. I can enter the space-time pagoda. Love Gob little say. Queen Shi nodded. Yin Shi, we might have had some conflicts in the past. Take care of yourself. I will persuade Knight Sorrow to treat you better, Wu Lingfei said to Yin Shi. Thank you, Mistress Wu. Yin Shi cupped her hands towards Wu Lingfei. She understood that Wu Lingfei didn't reject her and had accepted her existence. Knight Sorrow, I won't go to Golden Moon City with you. I don't want to get involved, Wu Lingfei said. This battle was led by Yin Shi and she didn't want to take credit. Aunt Fei, there's no need for you to think like that. However, I respect your wishes. Can you go to Sky City to rest? Knight Sorrow looked at Wu Lingfei and said, Hee hee. Alright, you know me. Then go do your things. I'll go to Sky City later, Wu Lingfei said with a smile. Then Knight Sorrow directly teleported to Golden Moon City and met with Yi Linghuan and the other emperors. You mean Thousand Leaves Saint has been dealt with? Yi Linghuan looked at Knight Sorrow in shock. Yes, he did. However, he has lost at least 70% of his strength. He won't be able to do anything evil in a short period of time. Once he spends a lot of time to recover, Grandpa can easily kill him. In addition, the higher-ups of the Red Leaves dynasty are almost all dealt with. Grandpa can arrange for people to take over the cities. Also, I don't think there's a need to attack the Green Nether dynasty for the time being. It's easy for us to take them down now, but the most important thing is to stabilize our position, Knight Sorrow said to Yi Linghuan. You're right. Grandpa will kill their monarch later and get their resources first. We'll study them when we conquer them. Yi Linghuan's eyes never left Knight Sorrow. Because of Night Moon's revenge, Knight Sorrow's side had done more than half of it. There's one more thing. I was afraid that the Red Leaves dynasty would transfer their resources, so I took them all. Who's in charge of Night Moon's resources now? I'll pass it on. Knight Sorrow looked at the emperors of Night Moon and asked. Yi Shang, back then, the family threw you out, and we've let you down. During this period of time, the family's resources have all been yours. If the family really lacked resources, it wouldn't have been a problem to use your resources because you're Yi Yu's young master. However, Yi Yu doesn't lack resources now, so what you have is yours. Yi Shengyu, who was wearing her king's battle robes, looked at Yi Shang with guilt and kindness. That's right, just take them. After this battle, Night Moon will be able to recover, Knight Shenxian said. Knight Sorrow nodded. He understood that after conquering the Golden Dragon King dynasty, Night Moon had obtained a large amount of resources, and they would soon take over the Red Leaves dynasty's resources. Moreover, the Seven-Star Dynasty would also have a large amount of resources as compensation, so there wouldn't be any problems. Then I'll take my people back to Sky City. I'm also an alchemist, so if the family wants to refine medicinal pills, they can come to me, Night Sorrow said after thinking for a moment. Are you helping this king? That's right. Where did you get your peak-quality medicinal pills? Night Shinua asked as she looked at Night Sorrow. I refined them myself, Night Sorrow said. You're an alchemy grandmaster? Night Shinua looked at Night Sorrow with some surprise. When Night Sorrow obtained Night Moon's peak-quality medicinal pills, everyone thought that Night Sorrow had asked someone to refine them for him. They didn't think that Night Sorrow would be able to refine them himself. Yes, I can refine any peak-quality medicinal pills below Tier 5. If you need them, elders can come to Sky City to inform me, Night Sorrow said before leaving Golden Moon Hall. What's going on? It's been 21 years since Night Moon was besieged, and he's already a middle venerable at the age of 21. He's also an alchemy grandmaster. I'm a bit confused, Night Shinua said as she rubbed her temples. Uncle Auntie Night Sorrow is also an array master. Night Moon's teleportation array was set up by him, but it seems that he hasn't studied the field of arrays yet, Yiling Xie said. After we returned to Night Moon's Sea, my brothers gave me the task of cultivating the next generation. When Nianxia was still young, Yilan and Yijun weren't bad, but they were still a bit lacking. When Nianxiao grew up, I saw hope. Now it seems that Night Sorrow is Night Moon's true future. I hope third brother doesn't mind me saying this. Night Shinua sighed and then smiled at Night Shinlei. Chapter 783. Genius 1 second. Remember Love Go Divided by Little? We provide you with wonderful novels to read. Shenlei, you have to do some work with Yilan and Yijun. Night Moon's unity is the core. Don't let anything that shouldn't happen. Yi Shenxian looked at Yi Shenlei and said. Yes, Yi Shenxian looked at Yi Shenlei and said. Brother, don't worry. I'll make arrangements. If they dare to be disobedient, I'll break their legs. Night Moon's tradition can never be broken, said Yi Shenlei. Unity was what all Night Moon people insisted on. No one was an exception. Yi Shenxian nodded. He believed that Yi Shenlei would handle it well. He also believed that Night Moon people's unity was in their blood. Brother, don't worry. Yi Lan and Yi Jun have good temperaments. After they found out about Night Sorrow, they both wanted to see Night Sorrow, their cousin. Also, when they found out that we were grooming Nianxiao as our successor, they didn't have any objections. They just took care of Nianxiao as their younger sister. Besides, Night Sorrow is definitely able to convince everyone, said Yi Shenxian with a smile. Yi Shenyu said with a smile. She had always taught Yi Yu's juniors, so she understood Yi Yu's children very well. There's another problem. Night Sorrow doesn't care too much about Night Moon's identity as the successor. Last time, when I mentioned that if he didn't appear, Nianxiao would be the successor, he directly said that it wouldn't affect him. It's fine as long as Nianxiao is the successor, said Yiling Xie. Night Moon's dynasty returned with a strong momentum. It's destined to be the #1 dynasty in the Taiqing region. Is Night Moon's young master not impressive enough? One sentence can decide the fate of others. One sentence can decide the rise and fall of a power. Is that not enough? Said Yi Shenquang. What's the status of Tianji Tower's young master? But our Night Sorrow refused. He was forced to do it by the people of Tianji Tower. He admitted to being Night Moon's young master because he wanted to shoulder the responsibility and help Night Moon stand up again. As for status and power, he doesn't care at all, Yiling Xie said. Night Moon's emperor, as well as Yi Wuyo and his wife, didn't have much contact with Night Sorrow, so they didn't understand Night Sorrow. However, Yiling Xie knew very well. Baidu search, AI go female sign shall say, www.aichuxis.com. Then what does he care about? Yi Shenyu didn't quite understand. He cares about kinship and kindness. Apart from these two things, he is a madman who pursues cultivation and self-improvement. Yiling Xie gave his evaluation of Night Sorrow. Golden Phoenix also sees him as the future of Eastern Xian region. There are many people who want to steal him from our Night Moon. Yiling Huan said. Ling Huan, you have to handle this matter well. No one can steal him from you, Yi Xinlei said to Yi Linghuan. Yi Linghuan looked at Night God Thunder and said, Third uncle, I have 5 bloodline energy points and am already a saint. Moon Queen has 6 bloodline energy points, and we all know what she has achieved. He has 7 bloodline energy points. Who can control his future? Baidu search AI Go female sign shall say www.aichuaccess.com. We'll talk about this later. Let's take down the Red Leaf Dynasty first and stabilize the situation. Ling Huan, make the battle arrangements first. Yi Xinxian was very pleased to have a descendant like Night Sorrow. No matter what, he was happy. Then Yi Linghuan arranged for Yi Xinlei to take charge of Golden Moon City. The other experts led their troops to attack the Red Leaf Dynasty. Night Sorrow led the god-slaying team back to Sky City. However, Yu Qing did not follow them back. She still had to fight with her husband. After returning to Sky City, Night Sorrow went to Wu Lingfei's loft. You came back very quickly. Aren't you going to fight? Wu Lingfei, who was wearing a white dress, walked out of the loft. There's no pressure in the battle. I won't participate in it. Is there any problem with Aunt Fei? Night Sorrow looked at Wu Lingfei and asked. There's no problem. Aunt Fei took advantage of this battle. Taking that guy's phantom doppelganger is equivalent to taking his cultivation and energy. Aunt Fei can slowly refine it. In the future, you won't lack the energy to raise your cultivation by 2 levels. Wu Lingfei smiled and nodded at Night Sorrow. That's good. Aunt Fei can rest for a few more days. Night Sorrow had been worried that Wu Lingfei had taken Thousand Leaves Sheng's phantom doppelganger. Now he was relieved. We can't rest. We've refined Thousand Leaves Saint's doppelganger, but his soul power is still struggling. We have to continue refining it. However, I can feel a connection. What we should do now is chase after Thousand Leaves Saint and kill him to prevent future troubles, said Wu Lingfei to Yi Shang. Good. Let's go now. Night Sorrow nodded at Wu Lingfei. Although Thousand Leaves Sheng's strength was destroyed and Night Moon had someone to contend with, he was still a great threat to those who were not at the top. If they could kill him, it would be a good thing. Then Night Sorrow and Wu Lingfei left the loft. After saying goodbye to Xikong Qiyu and the other 2 women who were drinking tea, they left Sky City and went to Taiqing City. Let her out. It's very stuffy inside. Wu Lingfei said to Night Sorrow. Night Sorrow talked with Yinxi for a while, and then let Yinxi, who had changed her clothes, out of the pagoda of time and space. Thank you, Mistress Wu Quebec. Yinxi nodded at Wu Lingfei. She was very grateful for Wu Lingfei's respectful attitude. Yinxi knew very well that with the relationship between Night Sorrow and Wu Lingfei didn't need to be polite to her at all. However, she still gave her some respect. Translator. Endless Fantasy Translation Editor. Endless Fantasy Translation. You don't need to be polite. I'm very happy that you've changed. As a woman, there's no need to make things difficult for a woman. Wu Lingfei nodded at Yinxi. Thank you. Yinxi nodded. At this moment, she really admired Wu Lingfei's magnanimity. Let's go do business first. We'll find a place to drink tea when we come back. Night Sorrow said. Wu Lingfei could accept Yinxi's existence and even gave her respect. This was what he wanted to see. In addition, he was also very satisfied with Yinxi's attitude. Night Sorrow and the other 2, who were wearing masks and veils, were teleported to the Red Leaf Imperial City. Then, under Wu Lingfei's lead, the 3 entered the Red Leaf Mountains. This guy is inside. We have to be careful this time. That guy's 100 illusion body is very good at escaping, Wu Lingfei said. I can't control him to use 100 illusion body to escape. When the time comes, I'll use the power of law to suppress him. Mistress Wu Kei can use your special ability to deal with him. Yinxi looked at Wu Lingfei and said. Let's do it this way. Night Sorrow, you'll stay outside. If there's any illusion body that escapes, you'll attack and entangle it. When he disperses his energy body, the energy will return to his illusion body. If he doesn't disperse, he won't be able to escape, Wu Lingfei said to Night Sorrow. Night Sorrow nodded. He didn't have such experience yet. He just needed to listen to the arrangement. Then under Wu Lingfei's lead, The three of them went deep into the Red Leaf Mountains. At this moment, in a cave in the Red Leaf Mountains, Thousand Leaves Saint was furious. He originally thought that after cultivating 100 illusion body, he could show off his skills. He didn't expect to be beaten up so badly. 70% of his illusion body was taken away by Wu Lingfei. It was equivalent to having 70% of his cultivation destroyed. If he wanted to cultivate it back, he didn't know how many years it would take. Chapter 784. Genius 1 Second. Remember love divided by go divided by little? We will provide you with interesting novels to read. Just as Thousand Leaves Sheng was about to go out and take a look, his expression changed. 3 figures flashed by. Wu Lingfei had brought Night Sorrow and Yin Shi to block the entrance. Love go little say W. Chu, you guys are really persistent. Are you guys going to kill all of us? Let me tell you, you can't do it. Thousand Leaves Sheng snorted. Master Wu Kei, you blocked the entrance. I'll go kill them. Yin Shi nodded to Wu Lingfei and rushed into the cave to attack Thousand Leaves Sheng. Before attacking, Yin Shi first used the power of rules to cover the cave. She did this to prevent Thousand Leaves Sheng from breaking the cave and escaping. Saint-class weapons are indeed powerful, Wu Lingfei said as she looked at the flowing wind sword in Yin Shi's hand. Auntie Fei, you have one too. I just forgot to give it to you. Night Sorrow took out a water-type Saint-class longsword and handed it to Wu Lingfei. Mid-class Saint-class longsword. Where did you get it? Why didn't you give it to me earlier so that I can recuperate? Wu Lingfei patted Night Sorrow's shoulder and said happily. Night Sorrow smiled embarrassedly. He had been too busy recently and had forgotten many things. Wu Lingfei, who had put away the Saint-class longsword, held her old longsword and watched the battle in the cave. She had to block the way and couldn't let Thousand Leaves Sheng escape. If he did, he would be a threat. Qianye Sheng was no match for Yin Shi even when he was at his peak. Now that he had lost 70% of his cultivation, there was no way he could withstand Yin Shi's storm-like attacks. After being stabbed a few times, he used 100 illusions. At this moment, Wu Lingfei waved her left arm and sent Night Sorrow behind her. Her body instantly transformed into her original form. She opened her sparkling beak and drew a whirlpool into the cave. Damn it! Ah! Stop! Thousand Leaves Sheng's screams were constantly heard. His weak phantom body couldn't withstand Wu Lingfei's ultimate talent, and was absorbed into her talent space. Then, the Golden Phoenix let out a cry and turned into a human. She held a storage ring in her hand. Night Sorrow, take it. Wu Lingfei waved her hand at Night Sorrow. Auntie Fei, I already have a lot of resources. Why would I need them? You can just keep them. Night Sorrow said. That's true. You really don't need anything. If you need anything, just tell Auntie Fei. Wu Lingfei thought about it, and felt that Night Sorrow's resources were not a problem. It's a good thing that the hidden problem has been solved, Yin Shi said as she sheathed her long sword. Thank you for your hard work. I'm just a drummer. When we get back to Maple City, we'll treat you two to a feast, said Night Sorrow. When they left Red Leaf Mountain Range, Wu Lingfei asked Night Sorrow about the origin of the mid-grade Saint-class longsword. Night Sorrow told her about his harvest last time. You're amazing. You've gotten so much in just one trip. Wu Lingfei was impressed by Night Sorrow's luck. Many saints didn't have a suitable weapon in their entire lives, but Night Sorrow solved a few people's problems in just one trip. Then, the three of them went to Maple City, where the atmosphere of war was still strong. Let's go to Taiching City. The atmosphere here is oppressive, said Wu Lingfei. Then the three of them went to a restaurant in Taiching City. After finding a private room, Night Sorrow ordered some dishes and took out 2 jars of wine. Night Sorrow, your problem is almost solved. Now just focus on cultivating. As for Clear Sky City, it'll depend on your luck. Wu Lingfei looked at Night Sorrow and said. After searching, Night Sorrow told her that he had confirmed Clear Sky City's location in the underworld. This is a chaotic world, but it doesn't concern you alone. Just focus on your cultivation. Don't worry too much, said Wu Lingfei. After eating, Wu Lingfei looked at Yin Shi and then at Night Sorrow. You don't have to worry too much about her. As long as she's fine, Aunt Fei will help you with Chuyu and the others. They won't blame you for this. Thank you, Aunt Fei. I really don't dare to tell them about this. Night Sorrow smiled bitterly. It's okay. Aunt Fei will take care of this for you. Wu Lingfei nodded at Night Sorrow. She knew Night Sorrow very well. She knew that Night Sorrow was under a lot of pressure because he felt guilty towards Sikong Chuyu and the others. However, she knew that Night Sorrow didn't want to do this. Besides, if Inshi could correct her shortcomings, it would be good. Inshi thanks Lord Wu Kei again. Inshi got up and bowed to Wu Lingfei. Wu Lingfei shook her head. She wanted to do this completely for Night Sorrow. She didn't care about Inshi's gratitude. After returning to Sky City, Night Sorrow chatted with Sikong Chuyu, Yang Lei, and Aoi for a while. He also took out the spirit artifacts he prepared for the three of them, and entered the secret cultivation room to cultivate. Come with me to the lake. Let's drink tea and chat, Wu Lingfei said to Sikong Chuyu and the others. When they arrived at the wooden boat by the lake, Qingji brewed a pot of tea. Aunt Fei, do you have something to tell us? Yang Lei asked with a smile. Yes. This matter is a bit serious. If I don't say it, Night Sorrow is under a lot of pressure. Aunt Fei is afraid of crushing him. Wu Lingfei thought for a while and organized her words. About Night Sorrow, why didn't he say it himself? Sikong Chuyu was a bit puzzled. She felt that in the past, Night Sorrow would tell them everything. This matter, Night Sorrow really can't say it. It's mainly because he cares too much about you and your feelings. When he told me, he was under a lot of pressure, Wu Lingfei said to Sikong Chuyu. Aunt Fei, don't worry. No matter what happens to 13, we will support him. Aoi and Yang Lei looked at each other and said. Seeing Wu Lingfei looking at her, Sikong Chuyu also nodded. Seeing the three girls nod, Wu Lingfei told them about how Father Gu and Yi Shang had been kidnapped by Inshi some time ago. Seeing the shocked expressions of the three women, Wu Lingfei sighed. This is also the reason why Father Gu suddenly moved to Sky City. I remember now. That time we didn't see Night Sorrow leave the Realm Sea, but we saw him come in from the outside. When he came back, he was a bit strange when he saw Father Gu. Night Sorrow must have been afraid that we would be worried, so he deliberately hid it from us. Aoi recalled the bits and pieces of that time. 500,000. X. Next is what Aunt Fei wants to say. The situation was very dangerous. He wanted to escape, he wanted to live. It's normal for him to use any means, right? Wu Lingfei looked at the three women. Aunt Fei, just say it. We can understand what happened to Night Sorrow, Yang Lei said. Hearing Yang Lei's words, Wu Lingfei nodded. She knew that Yang Lei had a bad temper. If Yang Lei didn't have a problem, then there was no problem with Inshi's matter. Afterward, Wu Lingfei told them about Inshi, her recent changes, and her current situation with Night Sorrow. Chapter 785. A Genius Remembers Love in 1 Second? We provide you with wonderful novels to read. Ninth Junior Sister. What do you want Night Sorrow to tell us about this? He didn't want to make us angry. Aoji looked at Yang Lei and said. Ha! Aoji looked at Yang Lei and said. It looks like Night Sorrow took advantage of this situation, but he's under a lot of pressure. Let's understand, Sikong Chuyu said. Sai, it's really hard on 13. We're still burdening him. Aoi sighed. Let's talk to 13 later. Looking at him like this, we are the ones who feel sorry for him. Yang Lei thought for a moment and said. It's good that you've thought it through. Actually, Inshi has changed a lot. Her arrogance is gone, and she's a lot gentler now. Besides, she's also fought for Night Sorrow. 7-Star Saint and 1,000 Leaves Saint were taken care of by her. Wu Lingfei talked about Inshi's situation. If she doesn't make things difficult for Night Sorrow, then we won't make things difficult for her. However, it's not appropriate to accept her, Sikong Chuyu said. There's no need to say anything about accepting. Auntie Fei is telling you this not to accept anyone. Auntie Fei just doesn't want Night Sorrow to bear the pressure. It's fine as long as you don't blame him for this. Wu Lingfei said. With Auntie Fei here, the pressure in Night Sorrow's heart will lessen. Auntie Fei, don't worry. As long as Inshi doesn't act recklessly, we won't say anything. Aoi said. Minure? Fastest square route. Afterwards, Wu Lingfei left. She was quite happy to have solved a problem for Night Sorrow. Aoi and the other two sat together and looked at each other silently. If she's obedient, we'll ignore her. If she's not obedient, we'll get 13 to teach her a lesson. Didn't 13 control her soul? She won't be able to jump, Young Lei said after taking a sip of tea. Aoi and Sikong Chiyu nodded. The three of them were definitely on the same side. When night fell, Night Sorrow came out. He did not need to go into seclusion for long periods of time. At this moment, the servants had already set the table for dinner. Then Night Sorrow and the three girls had dinner with Papa Gu. After Papa Gu left, Night Sorrow drank a cup of tea and went to the lakeside to cultivate. The three girls stood up and followed Night Sorrow to the lakeside. Night Sorrow took out his space splitter spear and wanted to practice his spear art, but he was stopped by Yang Lei. Yes, Auntie Fei told us. Sikong Chiyu said. What did he say? Ah. Yishang, who had been sitting down, stood up and the tea spilled onto his robes. Sit down. Tianyu, go play by the side. Yang Lei pulled Night Sorrow to sit down and waved at Tianyu. Night Sorrow sat there and did not say anything, waiting for the three girls to explode. He knew that Wu Lingfei should have talked to the three girls about Yin Shi. Night Sorrow, we know what happened. We don't blame you for this, Sikong Chiyu said. Yishang was stunned for a moment before he raised his head to look at Sikong Chiyu. But you can't not tell us if you have something on. We are husband and wife and will live together for the rest of our lives. Even if you are embarrassed to tell me, you can tell Sixth Senior Sister first. That way, you won't have to bear the pressure all the time. Sikong Chiyu looked at Night Sorrow. There was no anger in her eyes, only heartache. I'm not wrong in this matter, but I was wrong in the end, Night Sorrow said. Let her out first. Yang Lei looked at Night Sorrow and said. Then, Night Sorrow brought Yin Shi, who had turned black hair and was wearing a light blue dress, out of the space-time pagoda. Seeing Sikong Chiyu and the other two girls, Yin Shi cupped her hands and greeted them because she did not know how to address them. Night Sorrow introduced them. Since it's already out, let's sit down and talk. Aoi nodded at Yin Shi and then pulled Night Sorrow to sit beside her. She knew that Night Sorrow was the most embarrassed at this moment. Yin Shi sat in front of the three girls. Night Sorrow is our fiancé. He's our everything. We don't dislike you, but we need him to be safe, Sikong Chiyu said. I know and understand. I won't hurt Night Sorrow. If there's a battle, I'll fight with him. As long as I'm alive, I won't let him get hurt, Yin Shi said. That's fine. We're all women. Why do women have to make things difficult for other women? Aoi said. She had the most gentle personality. Thank you for your understanding. Yin Shi stood up and cupped her hands at Aoi. You can't always live in the space-time pagoda. Just live in the mansion. If anyone asks, you're Night Sorrow's friend. You became friends with Night Sorrow after holding him hostage, Yang Lei said. Is this appropriate? If not, I can continue to live in the space-time pagoda. I'm already used to it. Yin Shi said. It's fine. It's mainly up to you and Night Sorrow. It's best if no one finds out. That way, whoever schemed against Night Sorrow will be unlucky, Sikong Chiyu said. How about this? You can cultivate in the space-time pagoda during the day, and come out at night to get some fresh air. You can drink tea and chat with everyone. Night Sorrow said after thinking for a while. Then, the girls agreed with Night Sorrow's idea. I can finally breathe a sigh of relief. Yishan exhaled and took a big gulp of tea. You've taken advantage of us and you're still relieved? Yang Lei looked at Night Sorrow and said. It's not easy for me. I'm afraid that you'll be unhappy and unable to accept this fact. Actually, you can try to be friends, Night Sorrow said. Don't worry, I won't hurt you or have any other thoughts. At most, I'll just be Night Sorrow's friend, Yin Shi said. Senior sisters Chiyu Yin Shi has changed a lot. Yin Shi has the realm and cultivation experience of a 7-star saint. Everyone can talk about it, Night Sorrow said. After saying that, Night Sorrow went to cultivate the spatial crack. He wanted to give the girls some space to talk. After Night Sorrow's body disappeared, Yin Shi apologized to the girls again. Our standpoints were different back then. We can't say who's right and who's wrong. It's mainly about the future, Aoi said. We saw you in front of the spatial tunnel in Dongxiang City. You've changed a lot. Yang Lei looked at Yin Shi and said. People change with the passage of time, Inshi said. Then do you still hate night sorrow? Sikongchiyu thought for a while and asked. I don't hate him. Today's situation is my own fault. Moreover, my cultivation can be recovered and I can return to my original realm. Moreover, I have a better foundation. Inshi looked at Sikongchiyu and shook her head. As long as you don't hate night sorrow, everything is fine. Younglei glanced at Inshi. She was also worried that Inshi would hate him. After cultivating the spatial crack, Night Sorrow returned to the wooden boat. Chapter 786. A Genius Remembers Love in 1 Second? We provide you with wonderful novels to read. That's fine. In that case, let's head back first. We can come out for tea tomorrow. Night Sorrow nodded and put Inshi into the time pagoda. After pondering for a while, Night Sorrow decided not to shut off his soul power. That way, Inshi would feel estranged. He guessed that Inshi would also want to know the comments of Sikongchiyu, Aoi, and Younglei. She's really beautiful, and her figure is so good that I can't say anything about it. Her curves should be perky. Our Night Sorrow doesn't just eat everything. Younglei said as she looked at Night Sorrow. Ninth senior sister, please don't discourage me. These days, my life has been really tiring. I don't know how to explain it to all of you, because this is equivalent to betraying all of you. I also don't know how to tell Auntie Faye, because I am a little despicable. Night Sorrow spoke of the pressure in his heart. In fact, during this period of time, Night Sorrow had not relaxed at all. I can understand you. Eating in secret and not daring to let others know. No matter how good the meat is, it's not comfortable to eat it, Sikongchiyu said with a smile. Ninth senior sister, you've led Chiyu astray. Night Sorrow said to Younglei as he pulled Sikongchiyu to his side. 13. If that Inshi doesn't have any evil intentions, then treat her better. Her family has been destroyed and she has lost her freedom. It's not easy for her. Love Gom Little Sei Kuawe said. Night Sorrow nodded. Inshi, who was in the space-time treasure pagoda, also let out a sigh of relief. She understood that her situation would be much better, because Night Sorrow's 3 women were all pretty broad-minded. After drinking some tea, the 4 of them returned to the mansion. Aoi waved at Younglei, Sikongchiyu, and Night Sorrow before returning to her attic. Night Sorrow brought Younglei and Sikongchiyu back to the bedroom. Then he sealed his soul energy. He didn't want Inshi to know what was going to happen next. Stingy brat, let me see. What's there to lose? Inshi shouted from within the space-time treasure pagoda. Ridiculous. Night Sorrow muttered. Who's being ridiculous? Younglei pulled Night Sorrow's ear. Don't. It's Inshi. She's unhappy that I sealed the space-time pagoda and prevented her from sensing the outside world. She wants to know what we're doing. With Younglei grabbing his ear, Night Sorrow could only tell the truth. This woman wants to see everything. Even we want to see it. If you have time, you and she can perform for us. Younglei shouted at Night Sorrow. That's too shameless. Even a saint would do such a thing? Sikongchiyu also began to mutter. Now that I've sealed the space-time treasure pagoda, there's no problem. Night Sorrow bent down and threw Younglei and Sikongchiyu onto the big bed. Then, he pounced on them. After not being together for a long time, it was inevitable that passion would burn. The 2 girls were also in high spirits. It wasn't until midnight that the 3 of them laid down together to rest. It had been a long time since they were so relaxed. Night Sorrow felt a sense of security in his heart. After resting for a night, Night Sorrow woke up and realized that there were some changes in him. That was that his mind was clear. He also felt that cultivating his spear techniques was very smooth. Did you feel the change? Because there's pressure in your heart and your soul is covered in dust. Yesterday's problem was solved, so I feel a lot more carefree. Wu Lingfei appeared in the courtyard and smiled at Night Sorrow and nodded. See the original A+ Chapter 6C Section U. I do feel refreshed today. It's just that I didn't expect that something in my heart would affect my soul. Night Sorrow lamented. Aunt Faye, actually he underestimated us. Even if he was wrong, it's fine to tell us. Sikongchiyu, who had laid out the breakfast, came over and said. Wu Lingfei shook her head. Actually, it's not that he underestimated you. It's just that he cared too much about you. He was too worried that you would be angry and unable to accept it. Therefore, he bore the pressure himself. Night Sorrow, if there's anything in the future, just say it. If you don't say it, it's easy for something big to happen. Sikong Chiyu said. Night Sorrow nodded. He realized the seriousness of the problem. Doing something shameful would cause one's soul to be covered in dust. It would cause one's path of cultivation to not be smooth. After everyone ate breakfast together, Night Sorrow took his spear and went to the lake to cultivate. Yang Lei, Aoi, and Sikong Chiyu all admitted their mistakes to Wu Lingfei. They knew that although it wasn't their intention, it did give Night Sorrow a lot of pressure. Wu Lingfei smiled and let everyone talk more. She let Night Sorrow say anything. Night Sorrow went to the lake to cultivate a spatial fissure. Then he entered the space-time pagoda. Are you planning to suffocate me to death? Aren't you going to let me see the situation outside? At most, I won't look at you and your fiancé. Inshi said. Night Sorrow smiled and released his soul power. Finally, he asked about the conversation yesterday. Your 3 fiancés are really good. They are as beautiful as flowers and have graceful figures. Most importantly, they have a high temperament and a broad mind. Inshi said. She had a good impression of Sikong Chiyu, Yang Lei, and Aoi. The 3 of them didn't make things difficult for her. When everyone is together, you have to be more tolerant. Communicate with them more and lower your attitude. They are still young. You have more life experience than them. Night Sorrow looked at Inshi and said, What do you mean? You eat it again and then say it doesn't taste good. Are you saying that I'm old? Inshi looked at Night Sorrow and said. Her eyes were filled with unhappiness. That's not what I meant. Cultivators have a long lifespan. Age doesn't matter. What I meant was that you are more mature than them. You are fine. I respect you. Night Sorrow looked at Inshi and said. He felt that women were very sensitive and should be careful with their words. That's good. If you are like this, I will be willing to do whatever position you want me to do in the future. You know what I mean? Inshi said with a smile. All right. You win. I want to recover my cultivation. Night Sorrow nodded at Inshi. Night Sorrow was happy. Sikong Chiyu, Yang Lei, and Aoi's problems were solved. Inshi would also make some efforts. Things were going in a good direction. Inshi's unhappiness was fake. In fact, it was just a joke. After recovering, Night Sorrow came out of the space-time treasure pagoda and saw Sikong Chiyu and the other 2. After thinking for a while, Night Sorrow also transferred Inshi out of the space-time treasure pagoda. After transferring Inshi out, Night Sorrow immediately used the space-time treasure pagoda and began to cultivate his innate skill. He mainly wanted to avoid the awkward situation. Why are you running? The problem has been solved. Everyone just needs to face it. This attitude is not good, Yang Lei said. He is shy. When he doesn't want to face some things, he chose this method. Maybe the rest will be our interaction. Inshi nodded at Yang Lei. Sit down and drink tea. Don't let him see you standing here while we are drinking tea and think that we are making you angry. Yang Lei pointed at the chair and said. Chapter 787. Genius 1 Second. Remember love divided by go divided by little? We provide you with wonderful novels to read. You guys chat. I'm going to meditate and cultivate. Love go little say. Chew with a flash. Night Sorrow entered the space-time pagoda. Right now, he was too embarrassed to face this situation. This guy is still embarrassed, Yang Lei said after taking a sip of tea. He's good in other aspects. Whether it's battle experience or dealing with things, he's very experienced. It's just that he's a little reserved when it comes to men and women. Qingji said. She had personally experienced it because if she didn't do something, if she didn't take the initiative, Yishan would never take the initiative to do something. Yes. When we went to the ice snow mountain in the Far East icefield, I was injured. He saw what he should see and what he shouldn't see. He didn't take the initiative at all. This should be because Chiyu taught him well. Yang Lei said with a smile as she looked at Sikong Chiyu. That's because he didn't keep an eye on her. He ate 9th senior sister and then 6th senior sister. This one didn't escape. Sikong Chiyu said as he looked at Inshi. This wasn't his intention. I was possessed and did some things that I can't accept even now. I apologize for this once again. I wasn't like this in the past, Inshi said. Love go little say. Chu, if you can say that, then let's not talk about the past. Night Sorrow respects you and so will we. You're older, so I'll call you Sister Inshi. Yang Lei cupped her hands at Inshi. Sikong Chiyu and Qing Ji also stood up. They both agreed with Yang Lei's words. It was rare for a saint to admit her mistake like this. The most important thing was that everyone could coexist peacefully. Yi Shang would only feel awkward if he was in the middle. Don't call me Sister Inshi. The Silver Devil clan's surname is Xue. My real name is Xueshi. The name Inshi will vanish into thin air in the future. There will be no more Inshi. Inshi said to Sikong Chiyu and the others. She should be called Xueshi. Xueshi was planning to give up everything the Silver Dusk Saint had and start anew. That's a good thing. Tianyu, catch some fish for ninth senior sister. Let's grill fish and drink wine. Yang Lei shouted at Tianyu, who was cultivating on the ground. This wasn't Yang Lei using Night Sorrow's power to do things. Tianyu had a good relationship with the three girls. Sikong Chiyu and the three girls all treated Tianyu as a younger brother, so they were very casual. I'll be done soon, Tianyu replied, and his body flashed as he went to catch fish in the lake. When the girls finished grilling the fish, Night Sorrow came out of the space-time pagoda. When Night Sorrow was about to cultivate again, he was caught by Yang Lei. Come and eat grilled fish and drink wine. There's something else I want to tell you. Then, Yang Lei told him about Xueshi's decision. Congratulations, your new life has begun. Here you are everyone's friend, Xueshi. Night Sorrow stretched out his hand to Xueshi very seriously. Kung Fu. Seeing Night Sorrow stretch out his hand, Xueshi also stretched out her hand very seriously to shake Night Sorrow's hand. Then Sister Xueshi doesn't have to hide from anyone in the future because there's only Xueshi in the city in the sky, Sikong Chiyu said. Night Sorrow shook his head and said, that might not be enough. Senior Xiaolongjun and the others can still recognize him through his aura. It's just that he has changed his hair color. He won't be able to hide from the other saints. That's not a problem. I have a cultivation technique called the aura concealing technique. In the past, I disdained to cultivate it. After cultivating it, my energy and aura will change. Additionally, after cultivating the elemental wind body, my aura and energy have changed somewhat, Xueshi said. Alright, I know you don't want to see Senior Xie and the others, and I don't want to see you in an awkward situation. It's best if we don't meet. Yishan thought for a moment before replying. That's right, Yishan said after thinking for a moment. After eating the roasted fish and drinking some wine, Night Sorrow continued to cultivate the spatial crack technique. When he returned, Sikong Chiyu said, don't cultivate today. Have some tea, chat, and rest. Alright, I've been feeling very relaxed recently. Oh right, I haven't sorted out the resources I collected yet, Night Sorrow said. Following that, Night Sorrow took out a bunch of storage rings and the resources he had obtained from the Red Leaf Dynasty. Then he began to organize them. The Red Leaf Dynasty had a long history, so its resources were naturally abundant. Night Sorrow took more than 2 hours to organize them. There was no need to talk about the spirit stones. Night Sorrow packed 2 storage rings, and he also sorted out the materials for refining pills and artifacts. Night Sorrow directly gave some attribute crystals to everyone. And Night Sorrow was not stingy with Xueshi. What surprised Night Sorrow was that there were still 2 Void Dao stones. Xueshi's eyes lit up because she needed them. Actually, last time when we talked about soul clones, your eyes lit up, but at that time, you needed to deal with the 7-star saint, so you couldn't lose your strength, so I didn't give them to you. Night Sorrow took out the bigger one of the Void Dao stones and threw it to Xueshi. Don't worry, it's an eventful time now. I won't lose my strength to cultivate soul clones. In the future, if there's nothing else, I'll go cultivate. Xueshi said happily as she held the Void Dao stone. Your soul force's foundation is not enough, so don't study this for now. Wait until you enter the Venerable Realm, and your soul force liquefies before cultivating. Night Sorrow looked at Sikong Chiyu and the other 2 girls and said, If you have extra void Dao stones, go ask your parents if they need them. Aoi reminded Night Sorrow. Alright, I'll go see my parents later. Actually, without the corresponding cultivation method, the effect of cultivating it is not strong. Night Sorrow said. I have a cultivation method. When they want to cultivate, you can just use the void Dao stone. At this time, Xueshi decisively stood in the same line as Sikong Chuyu and the other two. You think you're so great just because you have a cultivation method? My soul clone has reached large success and has 90% of my original body's strength. How much power does your cultivation method have? Night Sorrow looked at Xueshi with disdain. Then I'll also learn your soul clone cultivation method. Hearing Night Sorrow's words, Xueshi was stunned for a moment before she quickly said, No. This involves the inheritance. The cultivation technique I used to cultivate the soul doppelganger was given to me by Auntie Fei. Because of that, Auntie Fei was punished by the backlash of her bloodline. You know what I mean, Yi Shang said apologetically. Understood. Truth be told, my soul doppelganger cultivation technique is also possible. It is the Origin Wind Doppelganger secret technique. Although it contains 70% of the original body's energy after reaching major success, its speed is fast. There is not much difference between it and the original body. However, there is a restriction. Only cultivators with wind or water attributes can practice it. Yang Lei can only practice other soul doppelganger secret techniques, Xueshi said. This matter is still quite far away for us. When the time comes, there might be a suitable cultivation method. Yang Lei said with a smile. Let's not talk about this for now. With enough resources, it's not a problem for you to increase your cultivation. You still have to walk the path of strengthening your attributes. However, you have to pay attention to the problem of a stable foundation. Night Sorrow said to Sikong Chuyu and the other two. He had just given the three of them a lot of attribute crystals. He was afraid that the three of them would neglect the problem of their foundation because they had enough resources. Night Sorrow, when are we going to Hao Tian's side to take a look? We can't miss the opportunity there. Xueshi said. Chapter 788. Oh. Xueshi nodded. She didn't know much about Night Sorrow's body cultivation. In her impression, Night Sorrow's body cultivation was already at the peak, but Night Sorrow kept improving at this peak. Then Night Sorrow said goodbye to the girls. He was going to go out and see how Night Moon's revenge war was going. The Golden Dragon King's side is not a problem. What they need is rule. As for the Red Leaf Dynasty, it shouldn't be a big problem because they don't have anyone capable of withstanding the attacks of the Night Moon Dynasty. However, as the young master of the Night Moon Dynasty, you should go and take a look, Xueshi said. After arriving at Golden Moon City, Night Sorrow didn't see Yi Linghuan and Yi Wuyo. After chatting with Night God Thunder for a while, Night Sorrow knew that Night Moon's upper echelons were at Red Leaf Imperial City. Night Sorrow then teleported to Red Leaf Imperial City. At this time, Red Leaf Imperial City had been renamed Red Moon City. In the City Lord's mansion, Night Sorrow saw Yi Linghuan and a few emperors. Yi Wuyo and his wife were also there. You ran away after killing the enemy's main combatants. Now you look like you're inspecting. Night God Kwang looked at Night Sorrow and said, #K to the power of 70V. God Kwang Emperor, don't make fun of me. I just want to meet with my parents. Night Sorrow said with a smile. Filial piety. Not bad. Night God Kwang nodded. When I'm not busy, I'll go find you. In these two wars, Night Moon collected a lot of materials to refine some pills. I'm only an alchemy master. The quality of the pills I refine is not as good as an alchemy master like you. Night God Moon said. Can't an honorable become an alchemy master? Why are you still an alchemy master? Night Sorrow was a little puzzled. He didn't understand Night God Moon's situation. You really don't know much about general knowledge. There are many venerables on the continent, but how many alchemy grandmasters are there? An alchemy grandmaster must be at least an alchemy grandmaster, but an alchemy grandmaster is not necessarily an alchemy grandmaster. This is related to the inheritance of alchemy, Night Sorrow said as she looked at Night Sorrow. This is Night Sorrow. You don't understand. Night Sorrow blushed with shame. He had never thought about this. Because he had Feng Chen's handwritten alchemy manual, he had never considered the issue of alchemy inheritances. After chatting for a while, Yi Wuyo and Yu Qing took Night Sorrow to their temporary residence. I thought that after Night Moon returned, there would be a bloody battle, but after you took the lead, all difficulties were resolved. If I had known earlier, I would have brought your sister out of the Sea of Night Moon so that you and your sister could meet earlier. Yi Wuyo said with a smile. There's no rush. As long as my family is safe, we can meet whenever we want, Night Sorrow said with a smile. Yu Qing also nodded. She agreed with Night Sorrow's words. After that, Night Sorrow took out the crystals and spirit stones he obtained from the Red Leaf Palace and the Red Leaf Dynasty's upper echelon storage rings, and gave some to Yi Wuyo and Yu Qing. Father, your main cultivation path is the space element. I don't know about the secondary element, so I gave the holy weapon to Mother last time, Night Sorrow said to Yi Wuyo. There's no difference between giving it to your mother and giving it to me. Besides, I mainly cultivate the space element. As for the light element, it's just a side element. It has nothing to do with the earth element, Yi Wuyo said with a smile. Night Sorrow was stunned. This was the first time he had seen a cultivator with the light element. Don't be surprised. If it weren't for the light element and my strong recovery ability, I wouldn't have survived 20 years ago. Yi Wuyo looked at Night Sorrow and said something that Night Sorrow didn't know. Night Sorrow nodded. He had never seen a light crystal before. He also gave Yi Wuyo a space crystal. Night Sorrow then asked Yi Wuyo and Yu Qing who wanted to cultivate a soul doppelganger. Yi Wuyo shook his head. He didn't want to cultivate this because it was important for him to cultivate the spatial split. Also, he needed to break through to the Saint Realm. During this time he couldn't damage his soul. However, Yu Qing was interested. She was still far from the peak of the Venerable Realm. She could cultivate a soul doppelganger. Night Sorrow then gave the Phantom Dowstone to Yu Qing. As for cultivation methods, Yu Qing had her own. There was also a soul doppelganger secret method in the inheritance of Beiyu City. Night Sorrow then asked his father if Yi Linghuan wanted to cultivate a soul doppelganger. Night Sorrow, it's good that you have such intentions. However, there are some things that you don't have to worry about. The harvest from this revenge battle is huge. Night Moon will also make up for some rare resources. In addition, your grandfather probably won't cultivate a soul doppelganger because he's the same as me. He wants to maximize the power of the spatial split and spatial slash. He won't easily destroy the integrity of his soul, Yi Wuyo said. After hearing Yi Wuyo's words, Night Sorrow understood that not everyone would choose to cultivate a soul doppelganger. It would be very harmful to the soul. Later, Night Sorrow learned some news from Yi Wuyo. The elders of Taiching City had decided to elect a new city lord and deputy city lord. Yi Linghuan was very likely to be the next city lord because no one in Taiching City could compete with him. Decades ago, Yi Linghuan was known as the Invincible King. Now he was a saint. No one could compare to him in terms of strength and reputation. Yin Tianlong, the monarch of the Yin dynasty, was also a little inferior. There was still some difference between an invincible venerable and a saint. Father, then Taiching City will belong to our Night Moon dynasty. No one will be able to compete with us, Night Sorrow said happily. If Yi Linghuan could become the city lord of Taiching City, Night Moon dynasty would reach the peak in terms of strength and righteousness. Yes, if your grandfather can become the city lord, Night Moon will reach the peak again. Yi Wuyo nodded. After chatting with Yi Wuyo and Yu Qing for a while, Night Sorrow left Maple City and teleported to Taiching City. After exiting Taiching City's teleportation array, Night Sorrow was surprised to see Star Tiger and Sing Lo. Nothing much. Want to have a drink? Star Tiger greeted Night Sorrow. Sure. Night Sorrow nodded. He admired Star Tiger's magnanimity. Although Seven Star Dynasty had suffered a loss, he didn't look at him as if he was an enemy. After entering the restaurant and ordering, Night Sorrow took out 2 jars of wine. There's not much good wine left, but we can drink it. That means I'm in luck, Star Tiger said with a smile. You brought wine into the restaurant. Can't you afford to drink the restaurant's wine or something? You're Night Moon's young master, a real prince, right? Sing Lo looked at Night Sorrow with disdain. This is good wine. You can't buy it with money. Besides, you don't have to look at me like I'm about to be cut to pieces, right? Actually, I made the decision to reconcile with 7-Star Dynasty, you know? I'm also under pressure, Night Sorrow said to Sing Lo, who had been looking at him coldly. Thank you, Star Tiger. I understand. That's just how my aunt is. Don't mind her. If I really hate you, I'll just take out my weapon, Star Tiger said with a smile. I don't hate you, but I don't really hate you. I'm just angry at you, okay? Sing Lo said as he picked up the wine jar beside Night Sorrow, opened it, and began to pour wine. Night Sorrow was speechless. He used the wine he brought as an excuse, and now he wanted to drink his wine. Chapter 789. Oh. After drinking 2 jars of wine, Star Tiger told me the main reason for going to Night Moon. Night Sorrow said. Anyway, I'm begging you for this. You can do as you see fit, Star Tiger said as he raised his wine bowl to Night Sorrow. If there's really a marriage alliance, I'll tell my grandfather and arrange for some outstanding and domineering members of Night Moon. Night Sorrow said to Star Tiger. Outstanding is a must. What about domineering? Star Tiger asked Night Sorrow. If you're not domineering, you'll be bullied to death. Night Sorrow glanced at Sing Lo. Star Tiger coughed twice to hide his awkwardness. Night Sorrow's words were like killing someone without spilling blood. Killing people is the least important thing. What you said just now was really good. Sing Lo was so angry that his face turned white. After drinking, Night Sorrow brought Star Tiger and Star Tiger to Night Moon City. Then he found the current person in charge of Night Moon City, Yilingxia, and arranged for Star Tiger and Sing Lo to stay. Then he returned to the city in the sky. Night Moon Dynasty recovered really quickly. In the future, Night Moon will be the only dynasty in Taiqing region, followed by Yin Dynasty. The future of 7-Star Dynasty is not optimistic, Sing Lo said with a sigh. Night Moon Dynasty and Yin Dynasty have a deep relationship. They didn't participate in Night Moon's revenge this time, but they have been helping Night Moon Dynasty defend their borders. This is a big favor and Night Moon will value it. Besides, the Qingming Dynasty's king has been killed. It's only a matter of time before Night Moon takes them down, Star Tiger said. The undefeated King Yilinghuan will be the city lord of Taiqing City. This is a foregone conclusion. Whether or not our 7-Star Dynasty can survive will depend on this peace talk, Sing Lo said as he looked at the streets of Night Moon City outside the window. Auntie, you don't have to be against the marriage alliance. Night Moon's core princes and grandsons are all very outstanding, and they have always been monogamous. Of course, that bastard Night Sorrow is an exception, Star Tiger said. In fact, Star Tiger was more optimistic about Night Sorrow, but when he found out that Night Sorrow and Sing Lo were like fire and water, he knew that there was no chance. Therefore, he could only settle for the next best thing, which was to let Night Sorrow recommend him. Sing Lo thought for a moment and said, Night Sorrow is really something. The one who defeated the old ancestor was a saintess, and when he attacked the Red Leaves dynasty, he had 2 saintesses by his side. What kind of situation is this? It's really hard to understand. The situation of Night Moon could be said to have been laid out by him. His opinion has a great influence on the higher-ups of Night Moon. However, seeing his attitude towards you, I think he will put in a good word for the 7-Star Dynasty. Star Tiger nodded. He should. Let's stay here for a while. When the situation in Night Moon stabilizes, we will inform the family to come over. Star Tiger and Sing Lo then stayed in Night Moon City. They also went to the Night Moon Monument to offer incense. After staying for a few days, Star Tiger and Sing Lo planned to go to Sky City to meet Night Sorrow. However, they encountered a problem. The Night Moon City's teleportation array allowed you to teleport anywhere except the city in the sky. Why can't we teleport to Sky City? Sing Lo asked. When Night Sorrow brought Sing Lo and Star Tiger to Sky City, he explained that it was where he lived. Other than the Night Moon Core token, no one else is allowed to teleport there. This is the order of King Ling Huan and King Ling Xie. Yi Lingyuan, who was guarding the teleportation array, said. The Night Moon sovereigns who were supposed to go to the islands in the Realm Sea had all returned. Yi Lingyuan was now in charge of guarding the teleportation array. Sing Lo and Star Tiger looked at each other, then left the teleportation array. Did you see that? Without the Night Moon core token, you can't even go to where he lives. It's clear that his status in Night Moon is very high, Star Tiger said. That guy sure is arrogant. Sing Lo understood. She and Star Tiger were also core members of the 7-star dynasty, but they were on a completely different level compared to Night Sorrow, who was the core of Night Moon. At this moment, Yiling Huan and Yin Tianlong were talking in the palace of Red Moon City. I'm very sorry about what happened back then. This king was in seclusion and couldn't come to your aid in time. Yin Tianlong cupped his hands toward Yiling Huan. You're too polite, Monarch Yin. Night Moon will always remember the Yin dynasty's help. It's good that you're here this time. Otherwise, I would have gone to the Yin dynasty as well. Yiling Huan said. What's the matter? Feel free to speak, Yin Tianlong said. He knew that Yiling Huan was in Red Leaf Imperial City, so he came to visit. The Night Moon dynasty took down the Golden Dragon King dynasty and the Red Leaf dynasty. As for the 7-star dynasty, they might be on the verge of reconciliation. I've already killed the Qingming dynasty, so the Yin dynasty can take the remaining territory, Yiling Huan said. Chapter 790. Is that appropriate? Yin Tianlong thought for a moment and asked. Of course. Night Moon dynasty will be under a lot of pressure if they take over too much territory. Qingming dynasty is right next to your Yin dynasty. If you take it over, it will be suitable for you to develop, Yiling Huan said. That's fine too. However, this king will send the resources after the war to Night Moon City. Night Moon has just returned, and you have a large territory under your rule. You will need more resources, Yin Tianlong said. Yiling Huan didn't reject this because Night Moon did need resources. Then Yin Tianlong told Yiling Huan about Yin Huang, and hoped that Yiling Huan could take care of him. The two talked for a while and Yin Tianlong left. Since he had reached an agreement with Night Moon, he had to declare war on Qingming dynasty as soon as possible. Yiling Huan already had this idea, and he had also reached an agreement with the other emperors of Night Moon. The Night Moon dynasty owed the Yin dynasty a favor for guarding the border. Giving the Qingming dynasty to the Yin dynasty was a return of the favor. Night Moon's territory, Golden Dragon King's dynasty and Red Leaf dynasty's territory were already under a lot of pressure. Taking over Qingming dynasty would be a burden. Then, Yiling Huan brought Night Moon's higher-ups back to Night Moon City and handed Red Moon City to Night God Kuang. Ling Huan, the next step is to reconcile with 7-star dynasty. We don't need to ask for too much, but we must fulfill the original agreement, Yi Shunxian said. Father, don't worry. I will take care of things here, Yiling Huan nodded. After knowing that Night Moon's higher-ups had returned to Night Moon City, Star Tiger and Sing Lo informed 7-star dynasty's people to come over. This had to be done quickly because it was a matter of attitude. Before meeting the 7-star dynasty's people, Yiling Huan sent someone to invite Night Sorrow to the main hall on Night Moon. Now under the Night Moon, the main hall had been renovated. It was imposing, solemn, and had an ancient aura. After Night Sorrow arrived, he was originally standing at the entrance of the Grand Hall. This was because the hall was filled with elders. Other than the emperor, there was also a group of princes. Sitting on the main seat was Yiling Huan. To his left was Yi Shunxian, who was meditating with his eyes closed. Next to him was Yi Wuyo and his wife. Below them were the emperors and princes. Night Sorrow, sit beside your parents. Yi Shunxian opened his eyes and waved at Yi Shang. This caused Yi Shenyue and the other princes, who were originally seated, to shift their seats. Night Sorrow cupped his hands towards Night Moon's elders. Then he bowed towards Yiling Huan, Yi Shunxian, and his parents before sitting down. In the future, you can wear the king's battle armor for official occasions. Yi Shunxian said to Night Sorrow. Isn't that for battle? Night Sorrow asked in a low voice. You silly boy, what don't you know? The direct descendants all wear the king's battle armor or king's battle robes in official occasions. Look at your parents. Yi Shenyue pointed at Yi Wuyo and Yu Qing. Night Moon's members were divided into men and women. When necessary, the men would wear the king's battle armor, and the women would wear the king's battle robes. At this moment, Yi Wuyo and Yu Qing were wearing the king's battle armor and king's battle robes respectively. Yi Wuyo and Yu Qing smiled and nodded towards Night Sorrow. After a while, the seven-star saint led the seven-star dynasty's higher-ups into the main hall. After the two sides greeted each other, the seven-star saint led the people to their seats. Then they entered the main topic. Night Moon's former city had already been constructed by the seven-star dynasty. They were just waiting for the Night Moon dynasty to take it over. Another foreign lord, Star Batian, gave a few storage rings. Inside are all the resources of our seven-star dynasty for the past 5 years. Please accept them. Yi Linghuan gestured for Yi Shenyue to take the storage rings. Then he looked at the seven-star dynasty's people. Then let's pay our respects to the heroes of our Yi clan who died in battle. Then the group of people left the main hall and paid their respects to Night Moon's ancestors who died in battle. After returning to the main hall and sitting down, the seven-star saint proposed an alliance. Original $I. Yi Linghuan nodded and let the seven-star saint finish speaking. The seven-star dynasty promised not to offend the Night Moon dynasty, and was willing to marry the seven-star dynasty's most outstanding princess to Night Moon. Then Sing Lo stood up and bowed to Night Moon's ancestors. Night Sorrow, what do you think? Yi Linghuan looked at Night Sorrow. War itself is painful. This bitter result can be said to be the wrong decision made by the ancestors. This should not be borne by the descendants and should not be sacrificed by the descendants. Children are in the hearts of their parents. As an elder, no one wants to see the younger generation unhappy. Night Sorrow stood up and said, Night Sorrow's view is the same as mine. The younger generation needs to be protected and not sacrificed. Of course, if there is someone who is in love with you, then I will support you. Yi Linghuan said. Thank you Linghuan Saint for your magnanimity. Thank you young Master Yi for your magnanimity. Star Batian bowed to Yi Linghuan and cupped his hands to Night Sorrow. He was also very pained to have Sing Lo marry him. Then, as the party that initiated the alliance and reconciliation, the seven-star dynasty was willing to send troops to help Night Moon dynasty take down the Qingming dynasty. Then, Yi Linghuan mentioned the cooperation with the Yun dynasty. Seeing the worried faces of the seven-star dynasty's people, Yi Linghuan smiled and said, The Yin Tianlong Emperor is not a war maniac. He will not attack your seven-star dynasty. In the future, the most important thing is for the Taiqing region to unite against the outside world. Star Batian understands. Our seven-star dynasty also supports Ling Huan Saint as the city lord of Taiqing City. This way, the Taiqing region can unite and become the #1 region of the 9 regions again. Star Batian cupped his hands and said. Then, Yi Linghuan asked the seven-star dynasty's people to stay as guests. Then they had some ordinary conversations. Night Sorrow slipped out of Night Moon's hall. Everyone was an elder, so he felt very pressured. Night Sorrow, thank you. Star Tiger followed him out and cupped his hands to Night Sorrow. I also want to thank you. I apologize for my bad attitude towards you in the past. Sing Lo, who came out with Star Tiger, bowed to Night Sorrow. It's nothing. I don't know if you guys participated in the 20-year war, but you definitely weren't the decision makers. So you shouldn't have to bear the consequences. Now that things have come to an end, you guys can stay here and play for a while. Night Sorrow said. I say, what kind of place are you staying at? We wanted to go there a while ago, but this place didn't allow us to teleport. Sing Lo looked at Night Sorrow and asked. It's a newly built town. Currently, that's where the people around me are staying. They probably don't want to disturb me because they don't want to teleport. Night Sorrow said. The god-slaying squad that you lead is very powerful. Bring me to meet them when you have time. After all, there are many people from Tianji Tower in that place. We'll definitely have a chance to work together in the future. Star Tiger said to Night Sorrow. Okay, I'll bring you there at 1 o'clock in the evening. Night Sorrow said to Star Tiger. Night Sorrow, I've apologized to you, right? If he can go, why can't I go? Let me tell you that I'm the protector of Tianji Tower. I want to meet the members of Tianji Tower. Can you still refuse? Sing Lo said to Night Sorrow. Just because you're the protector of Tianji Tower, I have to agree? What a joke. Why don't you ask your boss if I can refuse? Night Sorrow laughed. No one in Tianji Tower had ever ordered him around. Chapter 791. Oh. What do you mean by this? Xinglo looked at Night Sorrow and asked. There is a Tianji Tower branch here. Go and ask about their positions. Don't order people around. It's not good. Night Sorrow looked at Xinglo and said. Hashtag look at the original Z chapter plus W section plus W section plus W section plus W, Star Tiger, a company ant. Xinglo pulled Star Tiger to the Tianji Tower branch. The person in charge of the Night Moon City Tianji Tower branch was Guan Yun, the protector commander. Because the Night Moon City was very important to the Tianji Tower, he was arranged to be here. After seeing Guan Yun, Xinglo first bowed. Because Guan Yun was the protector commander, he was of the same rank as Lan Yuxuan and much higher than Xinglo. After the greeting, Xinglo asked about Night Sorrow. There are some things that you shouldn't know, but your 7-star dynasty and the Night Moon dynasty have already formed an alliance and are not enemies. In addition, the identity of the young master is not a secret, so there is no harm in telling you. Night Sorrow is currently the young master of our Tianji Tower. Other than the young master, the Grand Elder, and the 2 vice chiefs, everyone else has to obey him. Guan Yun said. Young master. This guy actually got the position of young master. Xinglo muttered in a low voice. Xinglo, watch your words. Don't you know what to say and what not to say? Is the young master someone you can insult? Hearing Xinglo's disrespectful words, Guan Yun was a little angry. I'm sorry, it was a slip of the tongue. Xinglo quickly bowed and said. She knew what she said was indeed wrong. Then Star Tiger and Xinglo left. Tianji Tower branch. I admit defeat. No matter how I look at it, I can't suppress him. I'll return to the 7-star dynasty later, and work hard to raise my cultivation. Xinglo sighed. She had always found Night Sorrow an eyesore, not because she was hostile, but because she wanted to vent her anger on Night Sorrow. But now she knew that she had no chance at all. Night Sorrow parted ways with Star Tiger and Xinglo, and was about to head to Sky City, when he bumped into Yilingxia. Yilingxia told Night Sorrow that in the future, the transfer array from Night Moon City to the Grand Clarity domain would be changed. This way, the city in the sky would be quieter and safer. Did someone set up a teleportation array? Night Sorrow asked. Yes, our Night Moon's High Wind King is an array master. You don't have to worry about this. Go back and have a good rest. We don't know when something will happen in Haotian City, Yilingxia said. I know. Our Night Clan came out at the right time. This way. Even if the heaven-sealing Great Hall appears, my grandfather and Night Moon's Venerable will be able to get a title and be blessed with luck, Night Sorrow said. After chatting for a while, Night Sorrow returned to the city in the sky. After Xueshi was released, everyone drank tea together. The Grand Clarity domain has stabilized and entered a period of stability. As for the loss of strength, it will probably take some time to make up for it, Sikong Chiyu said. In fact, the overall strength of a region is not calculated by the number of experts. It depends on the cohesion. In the past, there were many experts in the Grand Clarity domain, but once there was a war, only a portion of them would go out to fight. For example, when there was a problem in Dongxiang City, no one else from the Grand Clarity domain except for Chen Yuan, who died to save face, Yang Lei said. After chatting for a while, Night Sorrow went to cultivate and steadily improved his cultivation. When it was time for dinner after cultivation, Yi Wuyo and his wife came with an 11 or 12-year-old little girl. The little girl was very beautiful, and her eyes were very bright. At this time, she was looking at Night Sorrow. Nianxiao, greet your brother, Yu Qing said to the little girl beside her. Nianxiao greets brother. The little girl, Yi Nianxiao, bowed to Night Sorrow. Don't stand on ceremony. Come here and let brother have a look. Night Sorrow was very happy and he directly pulled his little sister to his side. Brother, father and mother said that you don't have it easy. In the future, if anyone bullies you, Nianxiao will help you beat them up, Yi Nianxiao said to Night Sorrow. Okay, I understand. Night Sorrow felt warm inside. This was the feeling of family. Next, Yi Nianxiao greeted her 3 sisters-in-law. Nianxiao, today was too rushed. I didn't prepare a greeting gift. I'll make it up to you tomorrow. Night Sorrow hesitated, unsure of what to give. We didn't prepare anything either. We'll make it up to you tomorrow. Sikongchuyu and the others also did not know what to give. After all, cultivation resources were not considered a greeting gift. Brother, sisters-in-law, there's no need to stand on ceremony. Didn't brother give us a lot of cultivation resources some time ago? Yi Nianxiao said with a smile. Night Sorrow then had his little sister sit by his side. After dinner, the family went to the observation deck at the top of the pavilion to chat and drink tea. Yi Nianxiao had been following Night Sorrow the entire time. She asked Night Sorrow about his past. When she heard the sad parts, tears began to fall. Today, our family is reunited. For so many years, Mother didn't dare to think like this. Knowing that you're still alive, Mother thanks the heavens for taking care of our family. Yu Qing said with tears in her eyes. Mother, don't you think I'm doing very well right now? Our family is reunited, Night Sorrow said with a smile. If Big Brother grew up in the family, how could you have 3 fiancés? According to the family rules, Big Brother would at most find a single sister-in-law. Yi Nianxiao said with a smile. That's right. Our Night Moon family doesn't have many direct descendants. But with you here, I reckon that will change, Yu Qing said with a smile. Yu Weiyo did not say anything. If he did, Yu Qing would glare at him again. The family chatted for a long time before returning to rest. This time, Night Sorrow went to Aoi's room. Aoi chatted with Night Sorrow for a while before the two of them went to rest. However, after a short while, Aoi could no longer endure. After all, she had yet to cultivate her body to the pinnacle. Her body was not strong enough to endure Night Sorrow. Night Sorrow, why don't you go look for big sister Xuexi? Aoi said to Night Sorrow. Then I'll call her out, Night Sorrow said as he brought Xuexi out of the space-time pagoda. You bastard! Seeing Xuexi appear, Aoi hurriedly pulled the blanket over her body. Night Sorrow, what's the meaning of this? Did you call me out to put out the fire? Xuexi looked at the scene. How could she not see what was going on? Don't tell me you don't understand? Night Sorrow directly pulled Xuexi onto his bed. After spending some time with Aoi and comforting Aoi, Night Sorrow took off Xuexi's skirt and began fighting. At this time, Aoi discovered just how accommodating Night Sorrow was to her. After all, their battle was very intense. Aoi, go to sleep. Don't just watch. Noticing that Qingji had been watching her fight with Yishang, even Xuexi couldn't stand it and felt a bit embarrassed. Chapter 792. Seeing that Qingji's face was as red as water. How could Xuexi not know what was going on? She directly pulled Yishang off her body and pushed him onto Qingji. As long as Aoi couldn't take it anymore, Xuexi would come to put out the fire. Night Sorrow didn't stop fighting until midnight. He gave his yang energy to Aoi. Aoi cultivated the harmony technique, but she didn't succeed in getting Night Sorrow's yang energy. Then the three of them rested together. This kind of communication laid the most solid foundation for getting along well. When everyone got up and washed up, Yang Lei and Sikongchuyu were shocked when they saw the situation. 13, you're good. You can even do this. You're awesome. Yang Lei gave Night Sorrow a thumbs up. Haha. Luckily, let's think about what gift to give my sister. Night Sorrow wiped his face and said, Hehe, I have a set of soft armor. It's not bad. You guys can think about it yourselves. Xuexi said with a smile. That's too shameless. Night Sorrow was speechless. I have one too. I have a face-preserving pill. It should be fine. Yang Lei said. Yes, I also have a protective bracelet from Tianji Tower. It can block attacks from beginner supremacies. It's suitable. Sikongchuyu said. 13th junior brother, what should I do? Aoi was a little anxious. She didn't have any collection. Night Sorrow lowered his head and pondered. He didn't prepare anything either. After thinking for a while, Night Sorrow took out his spatial essence iron. He cut it with his reincarnation spear and kept a portion for himself. The rest was given to Aoi. This is spatial essence iron. It can be used to forge spatial attribute weapons. It's more suitable for Nian Shao. Aoi nodded and accepted it. She didn't need to be polite with Night Sorrow now. Yi Shang took a deep breath. He was worried now. He didn't know what he should give. After pondering for a while, Night Sorrow took out the spiritual jade stone pillar and chopped it into 3 pieces. He then held the reincarnation spear and shook his wrist, carving the lotus throne. This gift is the most attentive. Sikong Chiyu opened her mouth and said. As for the other 2, they were prepared by Night Sorrow for his parents. Night Sorrow prepared a gift. When it was time for breakfast, Yi Wuyo and his wife brought Yi Nianxiao over. Seeing Xuexi, Yi Wuyo and Yu Qing were both stunned for a moment, because they couldn't see through Xuexi's depth. It was impossible to say that she didn't have any cultivation, because Xuexi's body clearly contained a very strong energy. Father, mother, this is Xuexi, our friend. Night Sorrow introduced Xuexi to everyone. Starting from Aoi, everyone took out a greeting gift for Yi Nianxiao. Night Sorrow, this isn't appropriate. Yi Wuyo looked at Night Sorrow. It's not inappropriate. We only have one little sister, Night Sorrow said. Big brother, where's your gift? I care about Big Brother's greeting gift the most. Yi Nianxiao pulled Night Sorrow's arm and asked. Big Brother really doesn't know what you need, so I didn't prepare anything. I can only give you a small gift. In the future, if you need anything, even if it's the stars in the sky, Big Brother will help you pluck them. Night Sorrow said as he stroked Yi Nianxiao's hair. Actually, Big Brother's words are the best gift. Yi Nianxiao looked at Night Sorrow with a smile. There's still a small gift. Night Sorrow took out the spiritual jade lotus throne he had prepared. Ah, crystal lotus throne. I really like it. Yi Nianxiao said as she looked at the spiritual jade lotus throne. The spiritual jade lotus throne contained rich life energy. It was as beautiful as a crystal. It's good that you like it. In the future, you can meditate on it. It'll be good for your body, said Night Sorrow with a smile. I really like it. This is a newly carved one. Did Big Brother carve it? Yi Nianxiao looked at Night Sorrow with a smile. I just finished it a while ago. Look, that's just a pile of rubble. Night Sorrow pointed at the rubble of the spiritual jade lotus throne. Following that, Night Sorrow gave each of his parents a spiritual jade lotus throne. I've made you spend money again. Yu Qing smiled. Night Sorrow smiled and shook his head. He likes spending money like this. In the past, even if he had good things, he wouldn't be able to give them to his parents. That was truly regretful. After eating breakfast, they went to the lakeside. While the group of women drank tea and chatted, Night Sorrow and Yi Wuyo took a walk by the lakeside. Yi Wuyo told Night Sorrow that once the night moon stabilized, he would return to his family's land in the Night Moon Sea and continue comprehending the power of laws. Now that he was a half-step sage, he wanted to break through to the sage realm. Once the Night Moon had 2 sages, it would become a true colossus. At the same time, he asked if Night Sorrow would return. Night Sorrow shook his head. He said that he would wait around Clear Sky City. When the energy storm weakened, he would enter Clear Sky City ahead of time. This is the era of great competition. If there's an opportunity, you have to fight for it. This is your father's communication crystal. If you can enter, crush the crystal and your father will rush over, said Yi Wuyo. Square root comma. And only YKO genuine, MB even GH, plus is the stolen M version. Then Yi Wuyo asked about Xuexi's situation. Night Sorrow hesitated for a moment. Father, just treat her as my friend. There are some things that are inconvenient to say. If you say it, it will hurt her face. Father, you know that she is very strong and won't hurt us. You've been out there for a long time and have a lot of experience, so I believe that you can handle some things well. Also, you have to remember that you're no longer a child without a family. If anyone bullies you, then we can fight back, even if we have to die in battle, Yi Wuyo said. During this period of time, he learned a lot. He also knew that Night Sorrow had been despised because of his family background. This was the saddest thing in his heart, because he didn't stand behind his son when he needed him the most. Thank you, Father. Night Sorrow bowed to Yi Wuyo. Father cultivates the way of a gentleman, but I also have the anger of a gentleman. In addition, the 2 people who died protecting you back then were my 2 guards. When you have time, bring me and your mother to pay our respects. They were good people, said Yiwuyo. Who were the ones who tried to kill us back then? Even if the war is over, I will take revenge, said Night Sorrow. It's already over. After conquering the Red Leaf Dynasty, your grandfather and I went to the Green Ming Dynasty. Your grandfather killed the king of the Green Ming Dynasty, so I killed the enemies back then. The enemies who tried to kill your mother and father are no longer alive in this world, said Yiwuyo. This can be considered as an explanation for the two senior guards. Night Sorrow nodded. The father and son strolled around the lake for a while, then returned to the wooden boat. Ching, we have to pay our respects to the two brothers from the side family. Without them, Night Sorrow wouldn't have come back to us. Yiwuyo said to Yu Qing. Of course we should also thank the Medicine Valley. It was the Medicine Valley that nurtured Night Sorrow so well, said Yu Qing. Chapter 793. Everyone agreed with this suggestion. Night Sorrow called out to Father Gu, and the group left the city in the sky. After a few teleportations, they arrived at Dongxian City. This is the Dongxian Domain. Domain Lord Wu has really governed it well. It's quiet and peaceful. It's a big city without gunpowder, Yu Qing said as she looked at the Dongxian Domain. After taking a look at Dongxian City, the group continued to teleport. Yiwuyo wanted to see the place where Night Sorrow had lived since he was young. After 2 teleportations, the group arrived at Bamboo Garden City, and then Bamboo Garden Town. In Father Gu's courtyard, Uncle Nyo was trimming the deformed bamboos. Night Sorrow, Father Gu, you're back. Take care of the guests first. I'll come and drink with you guys later. Uncle Nyo ignored Night Sorrow's urging and left the courtyard. Yu Qing entered the courtyard and saw the wooden horse that had been baptized by the flames of war. This is my toy when I was young. Last time, Jiyu's family came to burn Bamboo Garden Village and destroyed it. Father Gu refused to throw it away, because this is also my home. He was afraid that I would forget what home looked like if I stayed outside for too long, Night Sorrow said. Reaching out to touch the wooden horse, Yu Qing cried again. She knew that Father Gu and Night Sorrow had lived a tough life, but Father Gu was sincerely good to her child. Yu Qing bowed to Father Gu again before she calmed down. Back then this was just a small village. It took many days to get to the nearest town, so life was tough. Night Sorrow didn't have a good childhood, Father Gu said apologetically. Brother, don't say that. We're sincerely grateful to you. If it weren't for you, we might not have seen our child again. Yiwuyo also cupped his hands at Father Gu. Then, Father Gu led everyone to the graves of the 2 Yi guards. There were fruits and incense in front of the graves. The incense hadn't been extinguished. People often offer incense here. Yiwuyo asked after everyone offered incense. This place is no longer as dilapidated and difficult as it was a few years ago. In the past few years, everyone in Bamboo Garden Village made a living in the mouths of beasts. People often died in the mouths of beasts, and were often attacked by demonic beasts. Night Sorrow left this place because he wanted to join the Medicine Valley, and receive the protection of this place. Night Sorrow did it. This village turned into a small town, and then from a small town to a city. Everyone is grateful to Night Sorrow, so everyone will consciously come to pay their respects to the 2 heroes of the Night Sorrow, explained Papa Gu. Brother, you risked your lives to protect my son. Yiwuyo will remember this. You are the glory of Night Moon. Yiwuyo bowed again. Then he put the 2 tombstones together and engraved the name of his guard. From now on, it was no longer a nameless tombstone. Because the bamboo building was small, everyone stayed in the inn in town. The inn was owned by the woman Night Sorrow had saved from the bandits. When she saw Night Sorrow, she bowed and addressed him as young master. Yi Sorrow, other people are grateful to you. This is good karma. If the power of good karma is small, it might not be obvious. But when there is great karma, the light of good karma will be added to your body, making your future even brighter, Yiwuyo said. Night Sorrow didn't understand because he had never heard of it. Then, Yiwuyo explained the concept of the power of virtue to him. Merit and karmic luck complemented each other. The more merit one had, the better their karmic luck would be. Furthermore, Yiwuyo was certain that Night Sorrow already had karmic luck on his body. Cultivators walk different paths. Some cultivate the Tao of inaction, while others cultivate the Tao of hegemony. Father believes in the Tao of nobility, which is to cultivate one's character and virtue. Naturally, I have comprehended it. I can't sense your karmic luck elsewhere, but I can in the Eastern Xian region. It should be said that you have done a great deed for the Eastern Xian region, said Yi Wuyo. Could it be because I entered that alternate space several times to fight for the Eastern Xian region and the other 9 regions? Night Sorrow pondered for a moment. The karmic luck of the 9 regions is very difficult to obtain, because the laws of the 9 regions are incomplete. Naturally, it can't form karmic luck. Based on your current situation, the Eastern Xian region has an essence core. That's why it can produce karmic luck, explained Yi Wuyo to Night Sorrow. V cool C forever. Free for a long time xvh. Speako hearing Yi Wuyo's explanation, Night Sorrow understood a bit. The Eastern Xian region did indeed have its own independent law. While they were talking, Yang Lei flashed out and stood in front of a young man. Her long sword was pointed at the young man's throat. Chen Chen, you really deserve to die. You actually betrayed Father Gu and Night Sorrow. Today I'll have you die, said Yang Lei furiously. 9th senior sister, forget it. Night Sorrow walked out of the inn and arrived in front of Yang Lei. He looked at Chen Chen, who seemed to have experienced a lot. Night Sorrow, I don't appreciate your kindness. Chen Chen looked at Night Sorrow and said, I don't need your kindness. I don't need you to be grateful. You should have had a different path and a different life. You chose this path yourself. I'm sparing your life for no other reason than the fact that you once called Father Gu father, and foster father, and elder brother. In the future, you'll have a good ending if you behave yourself. If you have any devious thoughts, you know what will happen. Yi Shang pulled Yang Lei back into the inn. After Yi Wuyo and Yu Qing asked, Night Sorrow told them some of the disputes between him and Chen Chen. Night Sorrow also said that Chen Chen was watched by the disciples of the Medicine Valley, so there was no possibility of him causing trouble. In addition, there were people in Tianji Tower who were watching him. Besides, he was a person with a broken dantian, so no one would take advantage of him. After staying in Juyuan City for 2 days, Night Sorrow and the others arrived at the Medicine Valley. The Medicine Valley was already prepared. When Night Sorrow arrived in Juyuan City, they sent a message to the Medicine Valley. The Medicine Valley attached great importance to this matter because Yi Wuyo and Yu Qing were the prince and consort of Night Moon. They were currently important figures in the Taiqing domain. In addition, Night Sorrow's return to the Medicine Valley was also a major event. In front of Danding Square, the 3 venerables of the Medicine Valley welcomed them together with the Peak Master of the Medicine Valley. After the 2 sides greeted each other politely, they entered the main hall. Yi Wuyo is very grateful to Valley Master Lu for educating Night Sorrow. After entering the main hall, Yi Wuyo and Yu Qing cupped their hands and thanked Yu Yangyu. You 2 are too polite. Night Sorrow is the pride of the Medicine Valley. Most of the Medicine Valley's current situation and status were earned by Night Sorrow. Yu Yangyu cupped his hands and returned the salute. Then Yi Wuyo made a promise that as long as the Medicine Valley needed it, the Night Moon dynasty would definitely help. Wuyo City would also support them to the end. Yi Wuyo was the successor of Night Moon. He could represent the Night Moon dynasty. In addition, he was the governor of Wuyo City and had his own forces. After Yu Yangyu invited Night Moon and the others to a banquet, Night Sorrow took his parents to the bamboo forest peak of Taixian Peak to rest. After making arrangements for his parents, Night Sorrow went to Danding Cliff alone. He wanted to communicate with the 8-Dragon Cauldron. At this time, the higher-ups of the Medicine Valley were still chatting in the Danding Main Hall. Middle-level venerables. Night Sorrow is now the most powerful person in the Medicine Valley. It's a pity that he can't inherit the position of the Valley Master. The Great Elder Side. Chapter 794. The Grand Elder nodded. The Medicine Valley was now a first-rate force in the Eastern Xian region. It could be said that no other sect could compete, or even dare to compete with them. This was because the Medicine Valley had produced Yi Shang, who had a high status in the Celestial Terminus Tower and the Eastern Xian Royal City. If any force dared to touch the Medicine Valley, They would not be able to pass the tests of Dongxian Royal City and Tianji Tower. Haha. I remember the disciple recruitment ceremony that year very clearly. The threshold was set at the 4th level of Qi refinement. Night Sorrow was at the 3rd level of Qi refinement back then. If the Valley Master and I hadn't given him a chance, the Medicine Valley wouldn't be where it is today, Yan Beiji said with a sigh. Don't take credit for it. It was Night Sorrow who worked hard, Yi Xiling said as she glanced at Yan Beiji. At that time, I saw the unwillingness in his eyes, so I planned to give him a chance. There is an old saying that giving others a chance is giving yourself a chance. Night Sorrow seized the opportunity, and so did the Medicine Valley, Yu Yangyu said. Prince Wuyo's cultivation is even more unfathomable, Duanlei said. He is a half-saint who has mastered the power of space. Of course he is strong. Night Sorrow's battle record is also very terrifying. Yi Xiling, who often went out, was very well informed about some news. Then, she said some of what she knew. Night Sorrow can kill intermediate saints, but we are still here asking questions. It's really embarrassing. We have to work harder, Duanlei said. Yi Shang greeted Elder Su when he arrived at Pill Tripod Cliff. Then he stepped onto the cliff wall and ascended. This made the other disciples of the Medicine Valley very surprised. At the same time, they also knew who this person was. In the Medicine Valley, there was only one person who could step on Danding Cliff like this, and that was Night Sorrow, the deputy head of the Medicine Valley. He was the sign of the Medicine Valley, and also the glory of the Medicine Valley. Arriving at the 8-Dragon Cauldron, Night Sorrow took out a jar of wine and sat down cross-legged. The 8-Dragon Cauldron circled and landed in front of Night Sorrow. However, there was another shadow spinning in the air, which was its secondary body. You're still holding on. You're not willing to fly up. You're a mid-level venerable. You're improving very quickly. The 8-Dragon Cauldron's voice rang out in front of Night Sorrow. This time, I came to Medicine Valley with my family to have a look. I also came to see you. My soul doppelganger is a little slow in nurturing. It still needs some time. Once my soul doppelganger is fully nurtured, I will come and take you away, said Night Sorrow. Soul doppelganger is a little weak. Fortunately, defense is my strength, said the 8-Dragon Cauldron. It shouldn't be weak. I'm cultivating a special soul doppelganger. When it's fully nurtured, it will have 90% of the strength of the original body, said Night Sorrow. That's great. In addition, I'll give you some medicine spirit energy. Try to nurture your soul doppelganger with it. In the future, your soul doppelganger will have a super strong recovery ability. After saying that, the 8-Dragon Cauldron released another ray of medicine spirit energy. After chatting with the 8-Dragon Cauldron for a while, Night Sorrow left Pill Cauldron Cliff and returned to Bamboo Forest Peak. Don't tell me you went to chat with the 8-Dragon Cauldron? Asked Aoi as she looked at Night Sorrow with a smile. 6th Senior Sister, you're right. Since I'm back, I should visit it and communicate with it more, said Night Sorrow with a smile. Permanent i.e. free Tian fee to CO small b. What's the 8-Dragon Cauldron? Asked Yu Qing in confusion. Then Night Sorrow told his parents and Xueshi about the 8-Dragon Cauldron. Middle grade holy treasure. Son, you're really good. You have 2 high-grade spiritual spears behind you, and you have the holy treasure space-time pagoda in your body. There are still holy treasures waiting for you to use. Others don't even dare to think about it, said Yu Qing happily. As a mother, she wanted her child to be successful. Many people attended the banquet. The higher-ups of Medicine Valley and the disciples of Taishan Peak were all present. After the guests and the host enjoyed themselves, Night Sorrow sent his parents to rest and chatted with Yu Yangyu for a while. Master's ability is limited. I can't help you much. However, if you have any questions, you can come back to me at any time. Master, I came back this time with some resources for you. You have the fire attribute. These are fire attribute crystals and fire attribute source stones. Night Sorrow took out 10 fire attribute crystals, and the source stone that he had lent to Guoxiao and Lutrin Swan. This is too precious. Seeing the fire attribute source stones and fire attribute crystals that Night Sorrow took out, Yu Yangyu said with some surprise. It's nothing. Master, you can keep them. These are wind attribute and thunder attribute crystals. You can give them to the first elder and elder Hua. Because my 2 senior sisters also need these 2 things, I can only take out a few of them, Night Sorrow said with a smile. It's good to have them. Who would complain about having too little? Yu Yangyu said with a smile. Yu Yangyu was happy that Night Sorrow missed his 2 senior sisters. After chatting for a while, Night Sorrow returned to the bamboo forest peak to rest. After staying in the Medicine Valley for 2 days, Yi Wuyo and Yu Qing were about to leave. Night Moon still had a lot of things to do. After thinking for a while, Night Sorrow let Sikong Chuyu, Yi Wuyo and Yu Qing go back first. He still had other things to do. Mainly, he wanted to go to the Supreme Creek space with Xueshi and see if the storm in the area where Haoyan City was located had weakened. Yuyo did not ask too much. He knew that his son was now capable of shouldering some things, so there was no need to interfere too much. Sikong Chiyu, Yanglei and Aoi were also relieved. They knew that Xueshi was strong. The 7-star saint and a 5-star saint had been eliminated. The death of Thousand Leaves Saint was also directly related to Xueshi. Under Xueshi's protection, anyone who wanted to touch Night Sorrow was asking for trouble. After sending Yi Wuyo and the others off, Night Sorrow and Xueshi went to the Supreme Creek entrance behind the Medicine Valley. Night Sorrow, thank you. I feel very relaxed now, more relaxed than ever. I don't feel any pressure at all. Xueshi looked at Night Sorrow and said, Weren't you relaxed when we weren't together? Night Sorrow turned to look at Xueshi, who had become much gentler and more elegant. No, back then, it was very tiring to think about how to suppress others and scheme against each other. After being cheated by you, I was always worried about losing face and dignity. But now, I don't have any of these worries. Palace Master Wu Kei and your mother are very respectful to me. Sikong Chuyu, Yang Lei, and Qing Ji are also very broad-minded people. Not only did they not look down on me, they also sincerely accepted me. Xueshi said, Actually, this is the situation I want to see the most. I took advantage of you. If you don't live a good life, I will feel bad. If you live a good life, there will be no conflict between us, so I can ignore the control of the soul power, Night Sorrow said. If you want, then torture me. Maybe I will tell the young concubine about us. Xueshi looked at Night Sorrow and said, You're good. Let's go, Night Sorrow said with a smile. He knew that Xueshi was joking. If Yu Qing knew that Xueshi had once tried to squeeze her son dry of his essence blood, she would turn hostile even if she was not a match for her. Chapter 795. With his previous experience, Night Sorrow easily led Xueshi into the Supreme River space. Last time, they had to fight because many nether beasts had gathered at the entrance of the space channel. This time, however, there was no need for that. There were only 1 or 2 nether beasts at the entrance, and Xueshi easily dealt with them. Then Night Sorrow led Xueshi to the teleportation array. After passing through the illusion array, the 2 of them stood on the teleportation array and started the teleportation. Soon, the 2 of them were teleported to the area of the spatial storm. After exiting the teleportation array, Night Sorrow looked around and said, Xueshi, the spatial storm has weakened. Back then, our teleportation array was about 300 feet away from the edge of the storm. Now, it's about 1,500 feet away. I can see it. If we didn't have the teleportation array as a benchmark, it wouldn't be easy to judge. Now that we have the teleportation array as a benchmark, we can clearly judge the weakening of the spatial storm, said Xueshi. But it's hard to say how long it will take to disperse. According to the map, there are still 200 miles left. It has weakened by more than 1,000 feet in the past few months, so it will take another 2 or 3 years. Night Sorrow calculated and said, There are spatial soul-eating beasts and spatial soul-eating beasts in the spatial storm. It seems your judgment is correct. This is definitely the same spatial storm as the one around Haoyan City. Xueshi's soul power was very strong. She had already discovered something without Night Sorrow noticing. The spatial storm here has shrunk a little. I also found that the intensity of the energy storm has weakened a lot. Night Sorrow flashed to the periphery of the storm and observed. Indeed. Let's go back to the Realm Sea and take a look. Then we can judge which side is weakening faster. That way, when it's about time, we'll have a choice and an advantage, said Shueshi to Night Sorrow. Then what are we waiting for? Let's go. Night Sorrow then flew toward the teleportation array. Can't you wait? How ungentlemanly, said Shueshi unhappily as she caught up with Night Sorrow. You're a saint. How can you lose me? Night Sorrow glanced at Shueshi, and then entered the teleportation array. After teleporting to the spatial tunnel in the Medicine Valley region, the two of them did not stop. They immediately returned to the Nine Domains world, and teleported to the Pill Tripod Square. After arriving at Haohai City, Shueshi started flying with Night Sorrow. She flew at full speed, which was slightly faster than the airship. Shueshi hugged Night Sorrow's shoulder. How does it feel to fly at full speed? It feels great, especially the fragrance on your body. It smells so good, Night Sorrow said. That's not what you used to say. Shueshi turned to look at Night Sorrow and said, wasn't I under a lot of pressure? I felt like I was a thief, Night Sorrow said. I can understand. You are calm now, so you can enjoy this feeling in peace, right? Shueshi looked at Night Sorrow and said. In fact, it wasn't just Night Sorrow. Shueshi felt the same way too. The pressure of not being accepted was hard for her to bear. Soon Night Sorrow and Shueshi arrived at the island where Shueshi used to live. The island was occupied, but the two of them didn't care. It was normal for others to come to an unoccupied island. Fortunately, there weren't many people in the area where they used to live, so it didn't affect their cultivation and exploration. After entering the Realm Sea, the two of them arrived at the spatial turbulence. Night Sorrow, your speed has indeed decreased. How do you feel? Shueshi's body flashed, avoiding the spatial turbulence's attacks. At the same time, she looked at Night Sorrow and asked, yes. According to the current intensity, we can get close to Haotian City first, and it won't be long before we get there, Night Sorrow said. I'm counting on you. My speed is fast, but there are definitely no gaps in the spatial storm. Speed is useless. We need to be able to withstand it and break through the spatial turbulence's blockade, Shueshi said. I understand. What we need to do now is to improve our strength. The stronger the protective energy, the more we can withstand it. Let's go back first. Night Sorrow called out to Shueshi and retreated to the periphery of the spatial storm. Then he brought Shueshi into the Pagoda of Time. Your true chi cultivation is now at the mid-4th rank. If you eat the Dragon Spirit Pill, it'll be a waste of time. Shueshi looked at Night Sorrow and said, I don't plan to quickly improve my true chi cultivation. I want to improve my body's cultivation. It's not too far away, Night Sorrow said. After cultivating for a while, Night Sorrow's myriad Dao Tome had reached the late 3rd rank of the soul refinement realm. He wasn't far from the peak of the 3rd rank. Then the two of us should cultivate more. While helping you improve your cultivation, my wind origin body can also improve. Shueshi looked at Night Sorrow and said, I think so too. When you're shy, you're really different. Night Sorrow looked at Shueshi's blushing face. I wasn't shy in the past because I didn't care about anything. Now, I'm a little embarrassed. Shueshi said. Then Shueshi turned her hair back to its original silver color. The silver hair with water ripples added a flirtatious aura to her. The two of them were familiar with each other. After enjoying the feeling, the two of them began to cultivate. The two of them focused on Shueshi's cultivation. Night Sorrow only needed to circulate the energy of his myriad Dao Tome. After Shueshi's wind origin body entered Night Sorrow's body, it automatically circulated with the energy of his myriad Dao Tome. It nourished the energy of Night Sorrow's myriad Dao Tome. At the same time, it also nourished Night Sorrow's body. After resting, Shueshi put on a gauze robe and brewed a pot of tea. This is not bad. It's comfortable and it can improve my cultivation. Night Sorrow said with a smile. Translator. Naibo Studio Editor. Naibo Studio, yes. That's why many cultivators are researching on dual cultivation methods. However, some people take the evil path in order to improve their cultivation quickly. They use yin to nourish yang, or yang to nourish yin. It's an action that harms others to benefit oneself. It's despised by cultivators. Shueshi poured a cup of tea for herself and said, I know. I was almost cheated by you. Night Sorrow muttered softly. Night Sorrow, I didn't want to do it. I was forced to the point of no return. Let's not talk about this. It's really embarrassing. I also paid the price. Xuexi's voice was a little soft. This was a stain in her life. I'm sorry. I won't talk about this in the future. I won't mention what happened between us to anyone else. Hearing Xuexi's soft voice, Night Sorrow suddenly felt a little guilty. It was mainly because Inxi's attitude touched his heart. Who didn't miss it? Xuexi raised her head and looked at Night Sorrow. She knew that Night Sorrow's attitude had changed. He knew how to take care of her. It could be said that he would feel sorry for her in the future. Chapter 796. Night Sorrow hugged Xuexi and nodded. He understood Xuexi's feelings. Xuexi had taken the initiative to give him what she thought was the most precious thing in her heart. It was also a sign of friendship. Do you understand? Xuexi seriously looked into Night Sorrow's eyes. I'm not stupid. We didn't have a good beginning, but we will have a perfect ending. Night Sorrow smiled at Xuexi. You're right. This is a perfect ending for me. Xuexi nodded her head. She was really happy. You're right. To Xuexi, the beginning between her and Night Sorrow was dark and unsightly. But now, not only had she obtained the essence Qi she wanted to strengthen herself, she had also obtained Night Sorrow's feelings. Xuexi knew very well how outstanding Yishang was, so she knew that she had profited this time, profited greatly. We'll take our time in the future. I also apologize for my past actions. Night Sorrow moved Xuexi's body and looked at her. You don't have to be like this. Everything you did was because you were forced. It was all because of me. I know that very well. Xuexi looked at Yishang with tears in her eyes. Alright, don't cry. The past is the past. Let's meditate and cultivate, Night Sorrow said with a smile. Xuexi couldn't bear to look back on the past few days. Yishang had also shouldered a huge amount of pressure. He felt guilty towards Sikong Chuyu and the other two, and he felt guilty towards his own conscience. Now that he could face the past, it was also a relief for him. After resting for 2 hours, the two of them continued cultivating in the chaotic streams of space. When they were resting again, Xuexi told Night Sorrow that she had given Ji Yuhao some time crystals. With the full support of the Ji Yu family, Ji Yuhao's cultivation base would definitely improve quickly. So she told Night Sorrow to be careful when he saw Ji Yuhao. You tricked me again. However, I am not afraid of him. If we meet, let's see who is stronger, Night Sorrow said with a smile. After seeing his parents, Night Moon stood up again. This made Night Sorrow feel relieved. Ji Yuhao could not give him any pressure. I'm sorry. Back then, our standpoints were different. At that time, I was thinking from the perspective of the Qingtian region, so I thought the young people of the Qingtian region would be more outstanding. As for Su Mu, I also took him as a disciple from the perspective of the future of the Qingtian region. His temperament is no different from Ji Yuhao's, said Xuexi. It was Inxi who helped Ji Yuhao and Su Mu. It has nothing to do with you. You are now my friend and my woman, Xuexi. Night Sorrow reminded Xuexi, mainly because he didn't want her to bear the pressure. Yes, there is no Inxi in this world. There is only Night Sorrow's friend, Xuexi. If anyone dares to harm Night Sorrow, I will kill him. After hearing Night Sorrow's words, she knew that Night Sorrow was thinking for her. Xuexi also made a decision. That was, no one could ruin her current life, and no one could hurt Night Sorrow. That's right. Let's continue with our cultivation. Night Sorrow looked at Inxi and said with a smile. Inxi also responded to Night Sorrow with a smile. It was a sweet smile that came from the bottom of her heart. After recovering, Night Sorrow stretched his waist. How do you feel? How far are you from breaking through? But don't worry, the storm is still very strong. Inxi looked at Night Sorrow and said, I will try my best. Night Sorrow nodded. When the storm subsides to a certain extent, you will almost break through. Clear Sky City was the #1 city in the 9 regions world in the ancient times. Clear Sky Saint King was also the first Saint King. He suppressed an era. If he left something behind, it would be a heaven-defying opportunity. Xuexi said. Xuexi, What is the highest level you can reach with your cultivation technique? Night Sorrow asked. The peak of the Saint Realm. There is no cultivation technique to enter the Saint King Realm. Shueshi explained. Is there a difference between the Saint Realm and the Saint King Realm? Night Sorrow asked puzzledly. Above the Saint Realm is the Saint King Realm. The Saint King Realm is a relatively special realm. It is similar to the false pellet realm between the essence gathering realm and the core condensing realm. The difference is that this is a realm that no cultivator can cross. Once you break through the Saint King Realm, you will reach rank 8. Shueshi's general knowledge and experience were countless times better than Night Sorrow's. Rank 8 was the Undying Realm. It was also called the King Realm. However, in the ancient books of the 9 regions world, there were only such records. There was no such cultivator. There is no end to cultivation and effort. Shueshi, let us set out towards this goal. Yishan waved his hand at Shueshi. Shueshi smiled at Night Sorrow. I didn't dare to have such thoughts before, but now I do. Then Night Sorrow thought of something. The golden growler's body was not dead, and its soul was not destroyed. The characteristics it showed were that it was not a Saint Realm cultivator. It was similar to the Undying Realm that Shueshi mentioned. However, Night Sorrow did not tell Shueshi. Some things were better kept to himself. If he told others, it would bring pressure to others. Night Sorrow and Shueshi cultivated very hard. They worked hard to enter Haotian City in advance. After cultivating for half a month, Night Sorrow felt that the myriad Tao Tome was on the verge of leveling up. So he greeted Shueshi. I will help you nourish it. You can level up later. This will be better for your foundation. Shueshi looked at Night Sorrow and said, Then I'll have to trouble you. Yishang nodded. After 3 days, Night Sorrow raised the cultivation of the myriad Tao Tome to level 4 of the Spirit Refinement Realm. Not only did his body's defense increase, but his soul power also increased a lot. After leveling up, Night Sorrow stretched his body. The energy in his body moved, making a crackling sound. C7Y chapter on Cool 0-inch. Congratulations. But don't think about going to Haotian City first. Stabilize your cultivation first. Shueshi looked at Night Sorrow and said. Okay, we will always be ahead of others, Yishan said with a smile. Shueshi nodded. She was happy for Night Sorrow because ordinary people at Night Sorrow's age would not be so calm. With Shueshi's help, Night Sorrow, who had stabilized his cultivation for 2 days, decided to continue strengthening his elemental power. The power of Desolates was of the time attribute. When his elemental power was full, his body would be strong. After absorbing another half of the Desolate Stone, the elemental power in the myriad Tao Tome was strengthened to saturation. Night Sorrow strengthened his body again, but this time it was not as painful as last time. After leaving the space-time pagoda, Night Sorrow decided to charge toward Haotian City. Even if he could not resist, he could use the spatial crack to travel. There would be no danger of being destroyed by the spatial turbulence. Shueshi, wait for me here. This time, I will fight. No matter what, I have to reach Haotian City. Night Sorrow said to Shueshi, who was beside him. But what if you can't hold on halfway? Shueshi was a little worried about Night Sorrow. Enter the space-time pagoda. Night Sorrow told her his plan. Take me with you. Shueshi nodded. She knew that Night Sorrow had made his decision. In the past, I would take you with me because I was worried. Now I am very relieved and do not want to take risks with you. Night Sorrow said to Shueshi. Chapter 797. In the past, Night Sorrow would have been worried about Shueshi's situation. He was afraid that she would harm his parents and family. But now he knew that she wouldn't. She was no longer the silver dusk sacred of the past. She was a woman of flesh and blood. You're afraid that you'll implicate me, but I'm not afraid. Shueshi shook her head. But I'm afraid. I've never done anything to betray my heart. This is the only time I've done something like this to you. Now that you've changed, I can also face my heart. If something happens to me, the soul power in your divine pearl will scatter. If nothing happens to me, then we'll always be friends. With that, Night Sorrow drew an arc and entered the realm sea. You bastard. Stop right there. I said I'm not afraid. Shuexi's body flickered as she chased after Night Sorrow. But at this time, Night Sorrow used his spiritual strength to make Shuexi fall onto the beach. Seeing Night Sorrow's figure disappear into the realm sea, Shuexi cried. She knew that Night Sorrow was doing this for her own good. Night Sorrow was worried that he wouldn't be able to come back after entering the realm sea, and would implicate her. But Shuexi really wanted to accompany Night Sorrow. Night Sorrow entered the chaotic space and charged forward. The reincarnation spear in his right hand was constantly brandishing, scattering the chaotic space attacking him. After advancing 15 miles, Night Sorrow didn't use a protective barrier. He wanted to conserve as much energy as possible. After advancing for more than 40 miles, Night Sorrow raised his protective barrier. He couldn't use too much of his body's energy, as that was the key to his defense. After using the spatial protective chi shield, Night Sorrow slashed forward. After advancing 50 miles, Night Sorrow felt that he had used up a lot of energy. He decisively consumed Life Spirit Elixir and Origin Spirit Elixir to replenish the myriad Dao Tomes and Bloodlines energy. At the same time, he used his Void True Chi to resist the spatial storms. The spatial turbulence storm at Night Sorrow's location was very strong, and he was already under a lot of pressure. At this time, he was only halfway through the journey, and the spatial turbulence ahead was even more violent. Night Sorrow controlled his protective chi cover to slash forward. The reincarnation spear in his hand trembled as he aimed it at the chaotic spatial flow that was charging towards him. As for the spatial soul-devouring beast, Night Sorrow had already ignored it. This was because the spatial soul-devouring beast could not break through his protective barrier, nor could it break through his body. With these two layers of insurance, Night Sorrow was confident that the true threat was the spatial turbulence. After another 20 li, Night Sorrow's energy reserves were almost depleted. At this time, Night Sorrow used the spatial crack and flashed into the spatial crack. Entering the spatial crack, Night Sorrow's figure flashed and entered the space-time treasure pagoda. Then he took out a pile of high-grade spirit stones and threw them into the space. Little Kong, use all your strength to stabilize the space-time treasure pagoda. Don't let the space-time treasure pagoda get swept away by the spatial turbulence. You need to recover quickly. I will control it myself. The consumption is astonishing. Shao Kong reminded Night Sorrow. Night Sorrow consumed the Origin Spirit Elixir and Life Spirit Elixir, and started to recover at full speed. He had to race against time as he was worried that Shao Kong would not be able to hold on. Night Sorrow recovered at full speed, and only used 15 minutes to recover to his peak state. Through his soul power, Night Sorrow discovered that the spatial turbulence in the spatial crack was no less violent than the spatial storms in the realm sea outside. It was much stronger than the spatial turbulence he encountered when he tore open the space beside the lake in the city in the sky. It corresponded to the outside world. This made Night Sorrow understand why the spatial turbulence he encountered when he tore open the space was stronger. Since this was the case, Night Sorrow felt that there was no need to enter the spatial crack again. It was the same to fight in the spatial turbulence in the realm sea. After exiting the spatial crack, Night Sorrow used his spatial protective chi cover, and brandished his reincarnation spear to continue charging forward. This time, Night Sorrow's charge only covered a distance of 12 miles before exhausting all of his energy. Night Sorrow let Shao Kong sink to the bottom of the realm sea while he started to recover at full speed. Shao Kong shrunk his body so that he could bear less of the impact and consume less energy. Even so, the consumption of high-grade spirit stones was astonishing. Night Sorrow used the Origin Spirit Elixir and Life Spirit Elixir to replenish his energy instantly. This way, Night Sorrow only needed 15 minutes, or even less to recover. Every time Night Sorrow rested, Shao Kong would consume several hundred spirit stones. If it were other cultivators, they would not be able to withstand such consumption. Night Sorrow had entered the alternate space several times, and collected a lot of top-grade and high-grade spirit stones. In addition, he had also collected a lot of spirit stones in the Red Leaf Imperial Palace. Therefore, he did not care about this consumption. Even if he had to consume 10 top-grade spirit stones each time, Night Sorrow could still withstand it. What he was most worried about, and what he did not want to see the most, was not being able to establish himself in Clear Sky City. Night Sorrow was getting closer and closer to Clear Sky City as he fought against the spatial storm again and again. However, Night Sorrow's speed was reduced to an extreme. Shueshi was very anxious, but she could not see through the spatial turbulence, and could not use her soul power to probe. Her soul power would be destroyed once it entered the spatial turbulence. However, she was sure that Night Sorrow was safe because Night Sorrow's soul power was still revolving in her divine pearl. Half a day passed. Night Sorrow had rested more than 20 times and Clear Sky City was getting clearer and clearer in front of him. Kill! Night Sorrow shouted in his heart, and continued to attack. Although the consumption was great, Night Sorrow could still bear it. In the evening, Night Sorrow rushed out of the spatial turbulence in the Realm Sea, and landed on the land of Clear Sky City. However, the spatial turbulence still existed. Originally, the soul-devouring beasts in the spatial turbulence were only as thick as a thumb. However, the soul-devouring beasts here were as thick as a baby's arm. However, Night Sorrow's 7-star Brilliant Moon Spear's extreme kill could still kill them. Night Sorrow rushed towards the center of Clear Sky City. He felt that the spatial turbulence was much smaller in places with buildings. Most importantly, 7 Nuta Chapter DN Festival. After moving forward with difficulty for a while, Night Sorrow flashed into the Pagoda of Time and Space. Then he controlled the Pagoda of Time and Space and smashed it into the hard ground. Then he flashed into the Pagoda of Time and Space. Night Sorrow, you don't have to worry. Underground, my consumption is almost negligible. Shao Kong reminded Night Sorrow. After relaxing, Night Sorrow directly sat on the steps of the Pagoda of Time and Space. This day was a desperate day for Night Sorrow. He was racing against time because he didn't know how long it would take, and whether he could reach Clear Sky City. Therefore, he didn't dare to relax. It's like eating spirit stones. After drinking a mouthful of wine and recovering to his peak state, Night Sorrow murmured in a low voice. Because the consumption was too great, a storage ring with high-grade spirit stones was empty. However, Night Sorrow knew that the consumption wouldn't be much because Shao Kong could enter the ground. Such a situation made Night Sorrow feel at ease. No matter how strong the spatial turbulence was, he was not afraid because he had a foothold and a place to rest. In other words, he could definitely get close to the heaven-sealing Great Hall. You're tuning in to the Echoes of the Heart YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.